accident, one thing leads to another. Your injury leads to treatment. Treatment leads to hospital bills. Bills lead to debt. Debt leads to stress. The advocates can help relieve that stress. Having an advocate attorney on your side leads to faster resolutions, fair outcomes, and a peaceful recovery for you. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show, live on Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. Ohio State is destroying the world. That's the whole show today. Ohio State's the devil. Nobody likes Ross Bjork. And screw you, Matt Patricia. Or didn't your hero Jim Rome call him Fat Patricia once?
Something like that.
I'm sure he did. We'll talk about that. We have got a ton to get to today right here on The Monty Show, presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365. I tell you guys this every single day. And I know that most of us, thankfully, knock on Formica countertop, have never been in an accident. Hopefully we never will be. But at this point, isn't it almost inevitable? If you get in a car accident, you're sitting in a light, you're waiting for that light to turn green, and you get rear-ended. Maybe you're just driving down the freeway, and as 18-wheelers are wanting to do, they tend to drift. That's not your fault. You didn't deserve to get into that accident, but you do deserve an advocate, somebody that will fight for you, somebody that has experience fighting that fight. And not only have they fought it, they've won it. That's why you go to the advocates at theadvocates.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. When you need assistance, how you need it, where you need it. Is that a video call? Is that a phone call? Is that in a hospital room? The advocates are ready to serve you. No chatbots or AI, which seem like that's all you talk to anymore. A real live injury attorneys waiting for you right now at theadvocates.com. And the best part is you never reach into your pocket to pay the advocates, because you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. So you have absolutely nothing to lose at theadvocates.com. Good morning. A very busy day for you. And it just seems like anymore in this country, we cannot separate. We just cannot separate politics and sports. And I don't even know where to begin with this Josh Pate thing. And I mean, I have to. Jake, would you assume that most people have seen this interview now?
Oh, yeah. I think if you haven't seen the Josh Pate Donnie interview, maybe you've been under a rock. Maybe you've been in a foreign land, curing world hunger. I don't know. But other than that, yeah, I'm assuming that everybody and their mother has seen the Josh Pate Donnie interview.
And listen, if you haven't, it's not a college football interview. And therein lies the problem. Josh Pate is not everybody's slice of meringue.
Not anymore.
I think this is a very polarizing discussion. Number one, if the president of the United States, allegedly, if the president of the United States reaches out to you and says, I want to come on your show, it's a hard thing to say no to. But you better know what you're getting into. And you better be able to handle that conversation. And I think Josh Pate failed miserably at that. I think Josh Pate, who is somebody that I watch his show on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Well, I did watch his show on a regular basis because I'm one of the people that is completely turned off by this interview. Josh Pate had no business having Donald Trump on his podcast. He was, and is going to continue to be in way over his head on anything that is very clearly anything that is not college football. Josh Pate is not your dude. You want to talk college football? Talk to Josh Pate because he's excellent on college football. There is no question about that. That's not at all what this Donald Trump, I struggle to say conversation. It wasn't a conversation. He quite literally did not ask him about college football. And when he hinted at college football, it went off the rails when he said that Donald Trump said South Carolina is an elite football team. Josh Pate tried to ask him, hey, how do you decide what football games to go to? And Donald Trump said, well, I like South Carolina because they're an elite football program. Which South Carolina, sir? Because it ain't the Cox. They're not elite, right? And we all know elite cock when we see it. But the point is, this interview was awkward. You couldn't follow a conversation. I have no idea what the point of this was.
Yeah, I think that so Josh's first problem is the genesis of this interview. So let's just assume that, it is true that Donnie reached out to him. Let's just presume that that is the truth and that that's how this all went down. If that did indeed happen, the first question that I think any interviewer at this stage in the conversation has to ask themselves about having Donald Trump on their show is, what's the objective of the conversation? What is my goal in talking to Donald Trump? Because I do agree that having the president on your show is inherently going to bring a lot of viewership, both good and bad. And you have to understand that. And that's part of having such a polarizing figure on to do an interview. But I think that the thing that Josh grossly underestimated here was he felt like he was going to sit in front of the president and just have like a friendly bro to bro conversation. Just like hey, like, I'm Josh Pate and you're the president and we're going to talk college football. When in fact, it was exactly the opposite of that. It couldn't have been more politics and less college football. It was all politics and all, like, Josh tried to work in some college football, but I felt like he was not prepared to wrangle the president back onto the college football tracks. Because again, no matter what you think of the president or whatever, that's not really the conversation I'm looking to have with this. The conversation to me with this Josh Pate interview with Donald Trump is that Josh Pate was not prepared to keep the conversation moving in a proper direction. And again, it needs to be said in fairness to Josh that it's incredibly difficult to get Donald Trump these days to have a normal conversation. And I think that's one of the challenges with having him on your show. But the thing that I didn't like was that the setting for me was weird. I don't understand, like, the president's gone on many podcasts. Yeah, like it just was the whole thing. It was like, it was weird that you had the cups sitting on the table. I think it's a little bit odd that Josh Pate did not choose to dress a little bit nicer for this. This is the president. It's in public. I think that there's a certain standard that I think that you should be working towards in doing a show. And I can tell you right now, because his typical day-to-day attire is a t-shirt, which I have no problem with, that's fine. But I think that if you are going to interview the president in public, in the open world, I think that, there's a certain standard you need to reach up to a bit here. So I had a problem with that as someone who does a show. I think the other issue that I had with it was just that I don't feel like Josh did a good enough job preparing. And it's not to say that I don't like Josh Pate. I agree he's one of the best voices we have that's younger on college football. I think he does a pretty good job on college football. But if you're going to interview this guy, you got to have, I mean, honest to God, like, you damn well better have like 30 questions about college football dial.
It's not even that. You can't fanboy.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure that Josh Pate went into this with the idea that they were going to talk college football and NIL was going to be a big part of it. I would hope. I'm giving Josh Pate that benefit of the doubt. I'm going to hope that Josh Pate went into this conversation with Donald Trump with the idea of talking NIL and legislating college football.
Of course.
Okay, I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt. What Josh Pate didn't do was prepare or understand that this interview is not about college football. And if he wanted it to be about college football, you're going to have to sit there when Donald Trump steers into Never Never Land and say, okay, hey, what are you going to do to fix the NIL situation in college football? Like, ask him a direct question about the premise of the interview instead of, like he went on this whole thing about how Donald Trump is able to separate his personal disdain or the attacks that people make against him personally from his business as president, which Donald Trump promptly said, yeah, I don't do that. He literally said, man, you do a great job of separating. And Donald Trump said, no, I don't do that. I punish people.
And the problem for Josh,
like, what are you doing?
To that point, because I couldn't agree more. The problem, I think, with those type of answers out of Donnie for Josh is that, and again, this is where maybe this will frustrate people, but no matter what you think of the president, it's not good for you, in my opinion, as a show that is a single personality show, that is one person talking and sharing his opinion on things. It's not good for your show right now if you are perceived to be on one side of the aisle or the other. Both sides of the aisle have negative connotations. Both
Correct.
sides of the aisle have things that they clearly can be criticized for.
Correct.
And I feel like so Josh does the interview, and immediately after the interview, he goes on Twitter and talks about how, man, if the president wanted to come on your show, you'd have him on. I'd have him on again. Like, basically went on this whole defense campaign on Twitter of this interview, which tells me that his team saw the smoke, which tells me that his team was like, yeah, maybe that interview didn't quite go the way we wanted it to go.
He got crushed. Let's be very clear about this. Josh Pate got crushed because it was a terrible interview. He fanboyed. Josh Pate, in my opinion, I don't know Josh. I've never met Josh. Josh Pate is a Trump voter and a Trump supporter. And when you try to support Donald Trump on a widely listened to podcast, you're going to get crushed for that. And so his answer to getting crushed was, everybody loved the interview and the only people who didn't were bots.
I know a lot of you have seen what you think is major pushback to this. And it did not occur to me until close friends, maybe some family hit me up, sort of worried. I walked in the building and Jesse was kind of worried today. I saw that look in your eye. You were kind of worried about me. How you doing? Boy, I know they've been coming after you. No, they haven't. No, they haven't been coming after me. An army of Twitter bots has come after me. But, if you have access to some of the tools we have, you know who is and isn't real on the internet. I'd say over 95% at time of airing today of the pushback that we've gotten online has been from fake accounts. So the actual feedback we've gotten from the concept of bringing the president on the show has been 10-1 positive.
Wait, did you just say the concept of bringing the president on the show was positive? You did. It's not the concept of having the president on your show, Josh, to talk about college football that was the problem. Nobody is questioning why would you have the president on. I agree with your premise. If Donald Trump calls you and says, hey, I want to come on your show and talk about fixing college football, if you just take that on its face, well, you're going to have him on. But that's not who Donald Trump is, and you goddamn well know that.
Yeah.
You know that's not who this guy is. Donald Trump is here to talk about Donald Trump.
What?
Donald Trump is going to say what he wants to say, and he's going to make you look bad doing that. That's how it is. And I can sit here with a clear conscience, with all honesty, and tell you, if Donald Trump called me and said, I want to come on your show and talk about fixing college football, I would say no. I am not going to put Donald Trump on, because you don't have control of him. You just don't. And the other thing that you got to remember is, if you try to control him, or if you succeed in any way, shape, or form in controlling him, he is going to sick the FCC on you. So what's the upside? And I know that this is probably, a against what most people think, but if there's no upside to having somebody like Donald Trump on your show, why are you doing it?
There's only one reason. Oh, that's right. You're a Trump supporter.
You are, and the problem is not that you're a Trump supporter, but the problem is you fanboyed him.
Mm-hmm.
You quite literally, Josh Pate sat there for this 15 minutes, and the other problem was this thing was 15 minutes. There was, if you're going to have him on for 15 minutes, don't have him on. Because what happens? He runs away with it, and you don't ask him anything, and you wind up looking like a jackass.
Well, and I think that, look, as usual with these interviews, whether it's the president or someone else, controversial and polarizing. I think one of the things that's really been rough for Josh is the bots thing.
It's brutal.
Is a brutal look. The truth is, and I don't know what kind of invented technology Josh has, but the truth is AI is so good now that there are Twitter accounts that behave in a human fashion that you don't know are bots.
Correct.
And it is comical to me that a show the size of Josh Pate's would sit here and send the message that they went through all the reaction and they filtered out the bots to a point where they know that the real reaction's positive. Josh, bro, I'm just going to say it. I don't believe you. I think you're lying. I'm sorry. I do. That's my opinion based on what you're saying. Because we do a show. We have reaction. We have negative reaction. We have positive reaction. Notice, what have we never done on this show? You guys know what the long-standing rule is with the comment section, both during the live stream, on the channel, and on Twitter, and on other platforms. We don't turn the comment section off. You know why? Because when you comment, you push the show forward. So the idea that Josh Pate turned the comments off on his tweets and on his YouTube channel in response to this tells me everything I need to know about how Josh feels about this, because Josh is out here running a defense campaign and turning off the criticism, which tells me Josh damn well knows that this interview didn't go the way he wanted it to. Josh damn well knows that it probably wasn't good for him to have the president on.
It damaged him.
And it did damage to him. Exactly. So I guess I just don't understand why dudes put themselves in this position. Why have someone on who's polarizing and have someone on and not prepare the way you need to? Then you're in the middle of the interview, drowning in the interview, way in over your head, with all due respect, because I don't mean it personally, it just is what it is based on the interview I watched. And then the next day you get on your show back in studio and you talk about how this was an overwhelming success and everything's amazing. And here's the real crime for Josh Pate, in my opinion. Before you did this interview, you were riding high. You were in an incredible spot. Everyone respected you. Everyone wanted to talk to you. You were doing interviews constantly nationally with other shows and things like that. Like, you were basically the voice of college football that was not affiliated with a major network. That was your role in the space. And I don't think we know what your role in the space is moving forward. I'm sure that you will still do interviews, and I'm sure people will still have you on. But it forever changes your image and your reputation.
How people view you.
Yeah. So, like, I just don't understand, like, why this was the game plan. I'll cut you slack on the fact that Donnie goes sideways constantly, because that's not unique to you. He does that with everyone. But I'm not cutting you slack on the lack of preparation.
Why did you ask him how he assembled his cabinet?
Yeah.
That was, as soon as I heard that question, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And then, just taking notes, I'm using the note function on my Mac. He then says to him, I think he was trying to get back to college football, right? But he says he gets into this portion about how the president relies on instinct. And he didn't ask him about college football. I said, well, he said something to the effect of, like, how do you know when to rely on instinct? And how do you know when to rely on the experts around you? And it's like, bro, you literally tweeted, if you're expecting this to be a political conversation, you're going to be sorely disappointed. And I'll put the tweet up in a second here, but he says, anytime the president wants to come on the show, here it is. It's an auto yes 1,000% of the time. First of all, there's no such thing as 1,000%. That is a Trumpism. So you outed yourself right there. 2, those expecting political discussion will be sorely disappointed. Well, here's the problem with that, Josh. If we're going to be sorely disappointed, can I ask, why then did you ask him how he felt about winning the presidency and the pushing of 2020 bogus election claims?
But wait, I thought there was no political discussion here, bro.
Can I ask then, why are you asking him about business and personal matters? And, he said something like, I'm fascinated by your ability to remain unfazed in the face of negativity, which that's just not who Donald Trump has ever been. He is incredibly fazed and incredibly impacted by negativity. Oh, that's right. We're not talking politics. Oh, wait. Yes, we are. And then you have the audacity to come out and say, well, the only people being negative are bots on Twitter. Well, I got news for you. I'm not a bot on Twitter, and this interview was ass. This interview was a disaster for you, Josh Pate. This interview damaged your brand and outed you as a Trump fanboy. And frankly, you're going to be lucky if ESPN puts you back on next fall. Because if you want to talk about something that you just don't do working at ESPN, you don't talk politics. Unless your name is Stephen A. Smith and you're running for president, which I hope you're not.
Allegedly.
That's what this is, in my opinion. My belief is Josh Pate is looking to further his platform outside of college football. And it didn't go well. This was not the start we were expecting for Josh Pate 2028, 32, 96, whenever you're going to run for president. Because I feel like that is the only thing that explains how much of a train wreck this interview was. That's the only thing that explains it, is that you want to form a relationship with Donald Trump and his people so that you have a future in politics.
Maybe.
Maybe you're trying to be Will Cain. I have no idea. But what I do know is this wasn't about football, and this crushed your football brand.
Yeah.
Because people are pissed.
Yeah. I think that it is, I don't know. The bots thing really bothered me, dude. It's never the crime. It's how you react to it. Right. I mean, that's just the story of life. It's never what happened. It's how you react to it. And I think that, Josh, it's just simply not true that there's technology out there to go through all these Twitter accounts and all these YouTube accounts to filter through every single account.
Who's got time for that?
It would take too much time. You're sitting here trying to push something utopic. That's just not it. Trust me, if it was possible, more people would do it. The very problem and the essence of the issue with X is that it is loaded with bots. But the problem is that AI is so good now that you don't know the difference. And yes, there are some that it's pretty obvious, but there are others that clearly you don't know the difference. So I don't like that that's what his response was to this. The response,
and let's play it again. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's play the because I want you to hear just the lack of reality in this. And again, I will point out, this is straight out of the Donald Trump playbook. When it goes bad, just talk about something that doesn't exist and never happened.
I know a lot of you have seen what you think is major pushback to this. And it did not occur to me until close friends, maybe some family hit me up, sort of worried. I walked in the building and Jesse was kind of worried today. I saw that look in your eye. You were kind of worried about me. How you doing? Boy, I know they've been coming after you. No, they haven't. No, they haven't been coming after me. An army of Twitter bots has come after me. But, if you have access to some of the tools we have, you know who is and isn't real on the internet. I'd say over 95% at time of airing today of the pushback that we've gotten online has been from fake accounts. So the actual feedback we've gotten from the concept of bringing the president on the show has been 10-1 positive.
The concept of bringing the president on the show has been positive. 95% of the reaction that's negative has been from bots. So you're saying that because Josh Pate, if you go, well, and you can't because he turned off the comment sections, you go look at the people who commented, dude, that's your audience. And you're literally sitting here saying 95% of your audience is bots. There's nothing real here. Josh, this was a bad decision. This was a bad decision. And my guess is you'll probably be just fine. You'll be just fine. But this was a bad look for you.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, he'll be just fine in the long run. I mean, it won't be forgotten once it's on the internet. It's etched in history essentially. But I guess I just think it's funny that the thing that doesn't add up is you're saying it's all bots, but then you turn off the comment section. That's what I don't get. If the comment section was a resounding, love fest, why did you turn it off? If the comment section and the feedback was amazing, why did you turn it off? Like, that's what I don't get. And I just think it's just weird to me. Like, my response would have been, if I was in that position, I would have said, yeah, you know what? Like, we had Donald Trump on. I really appreciate the opportunity to have sat in front of him and tried to have a conversation with him. It did delve into some of those political topics that maybe we weren't looking to talk about. And I hope that didn't turn a lot of people off. But here were the college football things that we were able to touch on. That's what I would have been doing. I would have just been talking about the interview more, keep generating, because this is the thing. If you're going to have him on, you have to be willing to be in the sewer with it. You got to be willing to say, okay, dude, we're having him on because we want views. Then you got to deal with the problems too, right? It's like, hey, if you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud too, bro. And you're not dealing with it. You don't want it. You're not here for it, and you're running from it. And that's what bothers me about this. The guy's got 522,000 subs on YouTube. The video's got 66,000 views, and the comment section is off. How? Like, how did you have Donald Trump on after he's been on many other podcasts? Joe Rogan, he's been on with the Paul brothers, he's been on with
political shows, you mean?
Political shows.
Shows like, where you would expect it to delve into what time the UFOs are landing at Area 51,
Yeah, like, I mean, just all that stuff. Like, he's been on a million of those, and nobody's turned the comment section off or run from it. And
you
I guess
can't have Donald Trump sit for an interview that only lasts 15 minutes and spend 14 minutes and 59 seconds throating the guy.
Yeah,
that's not going to work. Especially when you're putting it out there that those expecting a political discussion will be sorely disappointed.
After you did the interview, you knew what you talked about and you still tweeted this, brother. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
I'm amazed by it. What do you guys think? First of all, do you like Josh Pate? Did you watch the interview?
Not front to back, no. I watched bits and pieces of it. I don't remember the exact question where I got turned off, but I was like halfway through it. And I was like, dude, it's kind of all the same. Like, there's not anything in this interview where I'm like, yeah, man, like, I got to hear this, or that's the thing that surprised me the most. I felt like, all right, Donnie's going on Josh Pate. Josh is going to give us something that maybe we haven't heard Donald Trump talk about yet. Is there, like, it's foolish to believe that you're going to interview Donald Trump and no politics are going to be involved. Like, I wasn't going in expecting no politics. I think
it's
that's
okay if that happens, but you can't have no college football involved.
Exactly. So, I didn't listen to him before this. It's not like a thing for me where I listen to him every day, and he was a big resource for me. As I've told you guys multiple times, it's not unique to Josh. It's no disrespect to Josh. There aren't a lot of shows out there that I truly enjoy or want to listen to every day. I am much more the guy that that reads and gets news and stories and things like that from a variety of sources.
Right.
And typically I'll have music on or golf if it's Thursday and Friday or whatever it might be. So for me, I just look at it and I say, what position did you put me in as someone who's not a fan of your show, but does a show? And what position did you put me in with this interview? Well, you put me in a position where now I got to go and dissect it and look at it and watch it, even though I don't want to. And now I got to talk about it. And that's the problem. And again, for all the people joining the show right now, if the president called and was like, hey, I want to come on your show, I don't think it's 1,000% yes, even though 1,000% doesn't exist. I think there's actually a ton of risk in it.
Yeah.
That if you're going to do it, you have to be comfortable just saying, we're going to do this and it's going to have a ton of reaction. And we're good with that. Like, we're going to get ripped. We're going to get ripped. Like, there's going to be just a load of reaction on all platforms. We're good with it. But instead, that wasn't what they did.
Yeah,
and
you can't turn off the comment sections.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly right.
You look soft.
Yeah.
You look like you're
yeah.
And really, the way I would verbalize it is, you look like you have something to hide when you say it was all bots and then you turn the comment section off. It's those two things combined that, again, the optics don't look good for you. And yeah, you make a good point about ESPN. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a great point. ESPN's paying attention to this, no question about it.
Yeah. How would you not? All right, let's get your thoughts. Always appreciate you guys commenting on the show. The comment section is turned off. Oh, no, I'm kidding. No, I'm being an asshole.
The comment section is for Dems only.
Yeah. Rock and Rant, my birthday was this past Friday.
Nice. Happy birthday, dude.
Okay, so you're going to say happy birthday to Rock and Rant, but you didn't say happy birthday to me last Thursday.
I said happy birthday, and I got you shoes. Like, I don't know Bruh.
Whatever.
Whatever. I could have had my bot say happy birthday. Would that have been better?
Yes. At least you wouldn't have forgotten about my birthday. But it was only on Sunday that I learned I was a bot, according to Josh Bate. Happy bot day to me. Yeah, congratulations on being birthed. It's unbelievably disingenuous of Josh to lie to his audience that they have tech that instantly lets them know how much of the audience was bots. Absolute lie, full stop. Yes.
Yeah, the technology just doesn't exist, dude. Like, and if it did, it would be used much more. Anytime, and again, this is where you can't escape politics, right? If you're going to say that, then you're going to inherently put people in a position to say, okay, well, hey, you talked about election interference and fake election and loaded election and all that nonsense from 2016 with Donnie. And at that time, what did everyone go and do? Well, they launched massive manpower campaigns to go through all these Twitter accounts because, Josh, the technology doesn't exist, dude, and we all know it doesn't exist. So what do you mean? This is my point. Like, who told him that this was a good idea?
I think Josh Pate's not used to getting a lot of negativity. And it is something that this is what happens with guys like Josh. Josh is a podcaster. Josh is not somebody who's often in the spotlight. He is a new guy on the media scene. So when you do something stupid, people are going to call you stupid.
Come on, dude.
And you have to learn how to deal with that. And Josh chose the Trump playbook. Oh, well, these are all bots. It's not real. It's not real. What did Donald Trump say yesterday about his approval rating? I have a lot of silent support. Because Donald Trump has and I think, again, when we talk about 1,000% yes, when the guy has a historically 100-year low approval rating, did you not consider that you were going to get a lot of negativity for having him on? I mean, I would hope that crossed your mind. No, when Donald Trump is coming on your show, you think you're not going to get negative feedback.
Well, and I would say it's kind of like the flip side of that coin almost. It's like, I feel like Josh was like, oh, Donald Trump's coming on? Man, I hope I get a lot of positive feedback. Like, man, I'm expecting positive feedback. No, I think he was like, I'm
going to get a lot of run out of this. He did not expect it. I don't think he ever considered that it would be an avalanche of negativity.
Yeah.
Because you don't, when you're inexperienced in the media world, you don't think about, okay, well, like when we have interviews on, and one of the reasons we don't put people on often, we don't do writers, we only do principals, is because there's very few interviews that add to the show. Our brand is hot takes on the biggest stories in sports. That's what we talk about. So if you're Gloria Navarez for example, we will put her on. She's commissioner of a league. She's had a major impact on college football. Am I going to put on a college football writer? I'm not. There's because why? What am I going to get out of that writer?
Before the Donnie interview, would you have had Josh on?
No, probably not. Because I think Josh Pate is somebody who Josh Pate is very artificial to me. He's not authentic. And Josh Pate is somebody that is a pundit. He is what we are. We all do that. There's no value in that for you. Josh Pate is somebody that you largely ingest during college football season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen to him on the regular outside of college football because that's who he is. So no, I would not have had him on. But my point is, when you're inexperienced, Josh Pate's inexperienced. He's not a media guy. He hosts a podcast. And the problem is you don't know how to prepare. When we have somebody on, we will say, what question do we need them to directly answer? How are we going to get to that? Well, are we going to go right in and say, because my thing with Donald Trump, if Donald Trump was on this show right now, I would say, Mr. Trump, I appreciate you coming on the show. I have one question for you. How are you going to fix college football, including NIL and the transfer portal? That is exactly how I would have started the interview. I would not have started the interview with him about 6 inches down my throat. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Because as soon as you show Donald Trump that you're a fanboy, the interview's over. Because you're never going to get control of the interview back. Because you don't have, and Josh Pate is probably learning this the hard way. When you fanboy over people like Donald Trump, you've lost their respect. Donald Trump does not respect Josh Pate. He doesn't. Donald Trump, my guess is Donald Trump went on Josh Pate's show to reach his demographic. My guess is whoever, I don't even know how that interview comes to be, but my guess is Josh Pate got a phone call saying, hey, the president would like to come on your show and talk about NIL. Or Josh asked, hey, we'd like to have the president on to talk about NIL. They scoped his show, they looked at his numbers, and his demographic came out. My guess is that's why he came on his show. Donald Trump doesn't know who Josh Pate is. Right? Donald Trump doesn't probably care who Josh Pate is. But you when you have the silver plaque, which Josh Pate does, you have an audience. And I think that's the other key point is Josh Pate forgot he's got an audience. And you have to respect that audience. If I showed up here tomorrow fanboying with a Donald Trump interview, how many of you would ever come back? Probably not many of you, because that's not what I do. That's not my brand. So I just think that Josh Pate's inexperience in the media world crushed him in this scenario because he was ill prepared. He didn't know what to talk about. He didn't know how to throw jabs at the president. And as somebody who has interviewed presidents, as somebody who has interviewed big names, I am telling you, you have to be wildly prepared to talk to them.
Yeah.
As I try to dig whatever this is in my eye out.
Yeah. And that to me as someone, again, who does a show daily, that to me is the one that really stands out. I just feel like Josh wasn't prepared for all scenarios. Again, you have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. You have to be, you should have been prepared with how am I going to get this guy back on track if he goes into whatever he goes into? I mean, whatever, it's different every day, but if he basically gets off of, off of college football, off of whatever the topic is that you brought up. If he gets off of that, how do I get him back on track? That would be X factor number one to make a good interview with Donnie. Number two, I agree with you, would just be simple, direct questions, not long-winded questions. How are you going to fix college football? Is Nick Saban the guy for the job?
Should Congress be involved in legislating college football when we have all these other issues in the real world you're dealing with? A perfectly fine question. Excuse me. A perfectly fine question. You have this situation in the Middle East with Iran. You have financial struggles at home, this issue with the Supreme Court. Should you be worried about college football and college athletics? And do you believe you have the bandwidth and the ability to fix it? Perfectly fine question. Because the other thing is, you have to remember, this is a president who has said over and over again, he does not have plans to fix things. He has concepts of plans. So do you think he was going to lay out a 10-point plan to fix NIL and the transfer portal on your show, Josh? No, he was not, that was never going to happen, because that's not who this dude is. Who are you, the king of Thailand? Look at that. The king of Thailand is back on the show. It is good to see you, friend. To be fair to Pate, even the POTUS handlers can't keep him focused and on task during speeches or interviews.
But the criticism isn't. The criticism is not that Donald Trump goes off the rail. He does that with everybody, and we've said that multiple times today. The criticism would be that Josh showed no ability to get him back on track, or even the ability, honestly, even the ability just to ask a question that would get him back on track.
Josh Pate was in awe. He was not. He did not have the ability to ask a question. I think watching that interview repeatedly, I think Josh Pate was in awe of Donald Trump. Honest to goodness, I think that's what happened. And I just think that when you are, so he asks him about the instinct of and hiring good people, which Donald Trump, again, has failed at miserably. He went on to talk about Herschel Walker being a special guy. And it's like, we know, dude, did you not know who this guy is? Like, you're asking him about hiring good people. Oh, because you're a fanboy. And that was the issue. Again, I'll keep saying it. You can't fanboy interviews, right? I wouldn't have done the interview. He's too polarizing. It's not that he's polarizing. It's fine to put polarizing people on. You have no control of the interview. You just don't. I seen people pulled a trick he used to do years ago. He would call into a show using, I see Trump pulled a trick he used years ago. Yeah, did you see that? And we decided not to play it. Allegedly, Donald Trump called into C-SPAN. What is it, John Barron or whatever? Bro. It's crazy.
It's not new. It's a retread of a strategy his father and mother used, and he's been doing it since the 90s.
Hey, Jake, is that vest a flotation device?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can hand it to Josh since he was drowning in this interview,
Wow.
He was, dude. He was. Like, I don't even have a problem saying it. Like, let me just be really clear. Like, it's not personal. I don't know, Josh, dude. I'm taking you on the merits of your work. That's it. Like, that's it. Like, I'm not saying Josh is a bad dude. It's not personal. I'm just saying, look, man, you did this interview and you were ill-prepared, ill-equipped, and shouldn't have been doing the interview. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that he's just out of his depth. That's the hard part. And it's really difficult to justify. You can't go back. You can't unwind the watch. And when you have somebody, and the reason I bring up ESPN is you have somebody like a Bro Bible branding Josh Pate as ESPN's Josh Pate.
Mm-hmm.
that's bad for business. And Bro Bible is crushing him over the bot thing. And no matter what you think of Josh Pate, Bro Bible has a huge audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the whole thing sucks. All right, let's get your comments and then we need to move on. Let's see. King of Thailand, Josh Pate is a moron. Reminds me of the older brother on Weird Science.
I don't know that I'd say he's a moron, dude. I
No.
think that this just backfired.
Those negative comments were not all bots. 30% of Americans hate the current president. No, it's more than that. Go look at his approval rating. He could give everyone a check for $1 million and they would complain that he's spending too much.
Okay, again, next comment.
Yeah,
we're not wasting time. We're not. You want to have a political conversation? Knock yourself out, dude. But I'm not talking politics.
If he only had 15 minutes, he should have had 4 or 5 questions mapped out to ask and steered the interview. Well, I think it was awkwardly short. Turtle, I think that's the hard part. You can't put the president on for 15 minutes. You won't even get hello. You'll say hello and the interview's over.
Yeah, but let me bring back to a point that I made earlier. This is the problem with going out in the real world to interview him, right? He doesn't have any commitment to you, right? If you're going to have him on, you need to have him on in studio or on Zoom, and there needs to be a certain expectation that conversation is going to be a half hour.
But see, and James, you just find yourself on the wrong side of this stuff all the time. It's not stick to sports. What people don't understand is politics and sports are the exact same conversation. They are almost the exact same fever pitch, passion. It's important for sports shows to talk politics. The problem is when you're going to interview somebody, you need to understand the horse you're riding, if you will. You can't. I think it's difficult if you've never been in the situation that Josh Pate found himself in. You don't understand the mistakes that he made. And the mistakes that Josh made were he didn't know or he believed something different was going to happen. In my opinion, I don't think Josh Pate is an unintelligent person. I truly do not. He just is inexperienced and had no idea what he was doing. Josh Pate should be interviewed. He shouldn't be interviewing anybody.
Correct.
Jake knows about bots. He has a huge contingent of Russian bots trying to get him every day about the vest. Putin fears the vest.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. Is Pastor James White one of these advanced bots? Could be. It would make sense why he keeps switching fandom. The AI algorithm is picking up new information and getting confused. Could be. Could absolutely be. Okay. Let's see. If that interview exposed Pate, then this bitch fest exposed the Monty Show. I don't think we try to hide or keep secret our allegiances.
And why don't you help me understand how this is a bitch fest? Help me understand that, because all I've done is exactly what we do every day, which is I've watched the interview and I'm talking about it. So what exactly do you mean that we're complaining? I'm telling you why I think that Josh Pate damaged his brand and why Josh Pate comes out of this looking like he shouldn't be interviewing people and he should be interviewed.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Everybody wants to be something. Not everybody's capable of being what they want to be. And I think when you look at a guy like Josh Pate wants to clearly be involved in politics. He is clearly a Trump supporter, which more power to you, dude. That's the freedom in this country on certain levels, depending on who you are, that you can support who you want and say what you want to say. But you have the right to speak your mind freely. But those comments come with consequences. When you exercise your freedom, you are exercising your right as an American. But you also have to understand that your actions have consequences. The decisions you make have consequences.
Yeah.
They have reactions. Both positive and negative reactions are going to come when you put somebody like Donald Trump on and you fanboy over him and you do not ask him anything about college football, and you do not talk about NIL and transfer portal reform, and you ask him about hiring good people, and you ask him about separating negativity from his work, and he tells you you're wrong, there are going to be consequences for the most awkward 15 minutes that most people have seen. And that's the thing that I don't think most people understand.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I don't begrudge the guy for being a Trump supporter. It's
No.
You knock yourself out, dude. You want to support the guy, knock yourself out. That doesn't mean it's for me. But again, notice I'm not criticizing the guy for being a Trump supporter. That's not been the conversation today. The conversation today is, as someone who has the unique perspective of doing a show every day, I can see through the BS, dude. I know what you're doing. I can see it, which is you in something you just said, I think stands very true. Like, everybody wants to be something, but if you knew you wanted to do a great interview with Donald Trump,
yeah,
how did you roll into that interview that unprepared? That's the part that really bothers me. And again, if you've listened to this show, you know this take is not unique to Josh. I've run this take a million times on Pat McAfee. I've run this take on other dudes who just roll up to the interview and they're like, oh man, Donald Trump is on, LeBron is on, whoever. Yet you're not prepared mentally to say, okay, well, hey, inevitably what's going to happen here is I'm going to ask dude a question and he's going to go to Mars. And then I got to bring him back to Earth and get it back on track.
Yeah.
But you, that for me, that's you want to call it a bitch fest or complaining. As an industry professional, that's my complaint with Josh Pate in this interview, particularly, is that you just weren't prepared. So,
yeah, and Marcus makes an interesting point. Marcus says, I guarantee you his phone rang with a Bristol area code. I think you meant area code. With a Bristol area code today, because the way Josh Pate has handled this is not only embarrassing to himself, it's an embarrassment to everybody he's affiliated with. Those negative bots he's talking about also are fans of ESPN, their content, college football, and their content. What about all his partners in the SEC who he clearly has an affinity for? Yes. Josh Pate didn't let himself down. Josh Pate let all of his partners down. And I think that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Baby birthday to Monty. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And Maury, yes, thank you, Maury. I appreciate he sent me a happy birthday video. So Rock and Rant, he has gotten negativity, but it's more about if he's an SEC slurp kind of thing than typical stuff you would expect on a college football channel. This was next level, except it was bots only, apparently. It was next level. It was. You don't, I don't think people like Josh Pate, who, again, I think his biggest problem here is he's inexperienced in media. He got a huge opportunity that he completely fumbled. That's the issue. It's just brutal.
Did you expect to get no negativity out of this?
I think he expected to get no negativity.
Did you expect people to roll into the comments section and just slurp you endlessly? Did you think that everyone was going to say, oh, what an interview, man, Josh, gosh, you're a cultural icon now because you interviewed Donald Trump for 15 minutes. That's not the world we live in, dude.
Yeah,
like I understand that. Like, okay, Josh has reach. Josh, has the ESPN relationship. He does a lot of interviews. Great. Cool. That doesn't make you immune from people coming into your comment section during the show or after the show and saying a bunch of wild ass stuff. Like, when did that become a new thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. That's
and why run from it? Why run from it? That's what I don't get. That's what bothers me. Why run from it?
It's a really interesting question. So how about that Big Ten coming up in 5 minutes? We'll talk Big Ten in Ohio State. Rock and Rant, it's almost like Josh Pate doesn't remember that Trump appointed a commission with Saban and the Texas Tech guy last year. That lasted about 3 hours. Why not ask him about that? Pate is a storm chaser. He wings it, probably. Hello, Gabriel. Trump. Let's see. Trump had a flashback in 83 when he signed Herschel Walker. Exactly right. Remember the USFL days? Amazing. You have to steer. You have to have a person to steer the interview. Send Big Daddy Magic. I don't know why he didn't call Big Daddy Magic. Pate is a very knowledgeable college football podcaster. This criticism smacks of envy and progressive tribalism. So wait, the part where we said he's very good at college football, that's envy? Okay, cool. I'll point taken or not. Will Ingram tell Pate to shut up and podcast? It's curious. It's curious. He would do that with local New York radio talk shows back in the day. Yes, he would call in and Donald Trump would call in allegedly. You don't go stand in wet cement and to interview a steamroller. What? You don't go stand in wet cement to interview a steamroller. Okay. Absolutely, Monty. It's just inexperience. Plus, Trump is one of the hardest guys to interview. You got to let it alone. Totally agree. Hit the like button. Yes, please. Amazing. It sucks because politics on this show are valuable to me, at least. And every time it's brought up, there is always someone who wants to insult you guys. That's the nature of politics.
That's part of it, dude.
Yes.
Bro, like I can't, and it's not personal to you, Gabriel, but I can't tell you how many people want to do a show and then don't want to hear the negativity. It's part of it, dude. Like, let me say this, dude. If after this show, go on the channel and go find the Utah Jazz short I did where I titled it "The Utah Jazz Earned Their $500,000 Fine for Tanking." Do you think that I made that short thinking I was going to get positive comments? Do you think that I made that content thinking, oh, yeah, man, Jazz fans are just going to be elated with this? No, dude.
They're going to eat this up.
Like, what? Like, what do you, like, that's what annoys me as someone who does a show, that's what annoys the hell out of me.
Yes.
Like, you interviewed Donald Trump, and then you turn the comment section off, and you said it was all fake reaction. Okay, so let me get this right then, Josh. Just if we're having the conversation about bots, because here's the inconvenient truth for what you just said. If 95% of the reaction is negativity, is bots, does that mean that most of your audience is bots?
Yes.
Is that what we're saying here? I'm not trying to say that, but by nature of what you just said, Josh, you forced me to ask that question.
Yeah.
Like
the facts of Monty. That's right.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's incredible to me that we do this.
Yeah. I have viewed his show several times. Pate has a very high opinion of himself. He does. But again, Josh Pate's very good at college football. I mean, during the football season, I probably watch his show once or twice a week. And you catch it in parts because I don't have time to watch the whole thing. But, I don't know. There it is. That's the Josh Pate conversation. I appreciate all of you participating. And again, I will tell you, it's okay to disagree with people. It's okay to be Republican. It's okay to be Democrat. It's okay to support Donald Trump. We need to have open, honest discussions. Politics, sports, life. We need to have open, honest exchanges of ideas where we don't wind up name calling and insulting people, and have an open, honest discussion about it. And the issue becomes whenever politics creep in 2026, you can't have open, honest discussions about it. Because if my politics are not your politics, I'm wrong and you're right. And that's not how things need to be handled. So just kind of keep that in mind today. Ohio State. Ross Bjork, the athletic director at Ohio State, is a stud. If you don't know Ross, he is a guy that I'm a huge Ross Bjork fan. I believe that, like, for instance, such as in like re-signing Matt Patricia to be their defensive coordinator, huge get. Perhaps the biggest signing of the offseason for Ohio State.
Facts.
Matt Patricia signed a contract extension when he had NFL jobs waiting for him. He's returning to Columbus. Huge get for Ross Bjork. But then Ross Bjork starts talking about expanding the college football playoff. And you start putting his comments in the context of the Big Ten versus the SEC versus the Big Ten. Because I'm going to continue to tell you what I've heard repeatedly about the Big Ten. There is a huge line of demarcation in the Big Ten. And not all athletic directors are happy with Ross Bjork this morning. Because Ross went on a Buckeye podcast and advocated very heavily for a 2014 playoff.
So we all have a chance to express, our opinions. Yes, we have had this idea of going to 24 because, again, get more teams involved. In my mind, you actually keep the regular season way more active for way more teams, where everyone's alive, if you will, if there's 24 teams. And then there's been some conversation about, can we transition to 16 for a short period of time and then eventually get to a 24 model? How you get there with, automatic qualifying spots. Again, we could debate that 5 different ways. I do think the meaning of the conference championship games are going to continue to be debated. And really a lot of scrutiny on what should those games mean in terms of playoff access. I don't have a full answer there yet. Obviously, there's a TV value content piece to it, but if you're expanding the playoff, you're increasing that revenue stream. And if there's play-in games, then so to me, there's going to be way more content that could offset any loss, but that's going to be a continued discussion that layers into it.
Should the college football playoff be 24? What Ross Bjork is going to struggle with amongst his constituents in the Big Ten is this automatic qualifier thing you talked about. Because when you are the Dregs, when you are the Minnesotas, when you are the Iowas, when you are the Wisconsins, when you are the Nebraskas of the world, who do not ever, Rutgers, contend for a Big Ten championship, the only reason to go to 24 is so that all of your friends get automatic qualifiers. And the biggest issue is the split in the money, because I think one of the biggest fights in the Big Ten is equity and merit. And guys like Ross Bjork, who also during this interview on Buckeye Talk, I think is the name of that podcast, advocated for unfettered spending, uncapped NIL spending, no guardrails, no limits, no boundaries, spend as much as you want. And I think this issue is going to divide the Big Ten and the college football playoff, because when you look at the conversation around merit, listen to what Ross says here about winning games.
When I was in the SEC, when we added Texas and Oklahoma, I was one of 2 people in the conference who said we should go to 10 games. Why not? If we want content, if we want to make our TV package way more valuable, let's just go to 10. The other guy was Nick Saban who said that way back when. And so I just think your conference content is becoming way more valuable. And so I think we're probably in the playoff era with a 12-team playoff. It may be a little too early to say, good or bad on playing a game like Texas. Look, the most important thing is try to win all your games. Put yourself in the best position to win all of your games. And if you're in a high impact league like the Big Ten, you're going to be in a great spot. 12-0, 11-1, even 10-2, right? We were 10-2, the year before without, like you said, a marquee game.
Without a marquee game. So let me get this right. You want to play 10 conference games. And you just said the quiet part out loud. We don't have a marquee game. You don't have a marquee game because the Big Ten is soft. And the issue becomes, does every other team in the Big Ten want to play Oregon in the regular season? Do they want to play Ohio State in the regular season? Do they want to play this new incarnation of Michigan in the regular season? I would tell you the answer is probably no. No, they don't. And if you're going to 10, are you telling me that USC can't find room for Notre Dame? That's a problem. And the division here is the Big Ten doesn't want to play 10 games in conference. Ohio State doesn't give a rat's ass. They have better talent than you, and they're better coached than you, and they're going to run through you. 9 out of their 10 conference games, they're going to run right through their opponent. And I think the other universities in this league are terrified of playing 10 conference games, because you cannot tell me that Minnesota, Rutgers, Nebraska, Washington, the lower tier teams in this league, you cannot tell me those teams want to play Ohio State every year, Jake, because I just don't believe that they do.
Yeah, and I think that the premise that opening up a 2014 playoff makes the regular season more compelling is just fantasy land. I think that the moment you roll in AQs for like half the league, it's just going to get worse, right? I mean, it becomes you're making it easier to get into the CFP. Why would teams then work harder? Like that's not how the world works, dude. That's not the way to incentivize them. And I think that look, Ross is obviously biased as the AD of Ohio State, and that's pretty clear. But the Big Ten, again, the Big Ten wants the easy road, right? And it's easy if you're at Ohio State.
Yep.
To say you want unfettered spending and you wanted a 2014 playoff. Okay, cool. What else is new? Like, Ross, bro, I get it. You're at Ohio State. What else is dude going to say? Is dude going to say that he wants restrictions on spending and he wants to make it harder for the East to keep winning? No, he's not. But I think that the Big Ten's biggest problem is that they as a league need to fix the reputation that the league is soft, because that's your reputation right now. They need Michigan to be better.
But stay on that point. What did he say? We were 10-2 without a marquee game.
Yeah, and you still got in because again, but see that to me is not a Big Ten problem. That's an Ohio State thing. Everyone respects Ohio State. People, a 10-2 Ohio State team is going to be respected with the best of the SEC. And that's because they built a reputation as a school.
So why would you add a marquee game?
You wouldn't. And he also said in the interview that it doesn't, in terms of adding the big game, the marquee game, it didn't help Texas to play the game. It hurt them, right?
Yeah.
In November, they weren't able to sell themselves as a CFP contender.
That's right.
And so it doesn't help Texas. It doesn't help Ohio State. And so we wind up going round and round. And I just think that the truth is, and what none of these guys want to say, is that the Big Ten, in my opinion, is holding the Super League back, because the moment the Super League opens up, the road gets harder. It doesn't get easier. The road gets more difficult for Ohio State because once the Super League comes in, there's going to be this immediate shift back to how things used to be. Meaning,
wait, hold on. Do you think Ohio State wants a Super League?
No, I think Ohio State wants to keep doing what they're doing, which is playing a soft-ass Big Ten schedule, getting into the CFP every single year. Well, why would they want a Super League when the Super League is going to put rules around spending? The Super League is going to change the opponent, the level of opponent that they play, and it's going to change the control over schedule.
Because it rises all ships. I think what a Super League does is it makes it very clear who's doing it and who's not, who's winning and who's losing. And Ohio State, when you're at Ohio State's level, you are the level. Ohio State every year, whether it was the BCS, whether it is the college football playoff, Ohio State's in contention every year. They just are, because they spend what needs to be spent. They hire who they need to hire. They recruit better than you. They portal better than you. They're just better at college football than you are. So I think Ohio State, people like Ohio State want to be surrounded with like minds. The issue in the Big Ten right now, we've talked to Big Ten administrator. We have talked to coaches. We have talked to a lot of people around this. The issue in the Big Ten is the dregs of the society in the Big Ten don't want to level set. They don't want to rise. They don't want to play the game that Ohio State plays. One, they can't afford it. They don't have the machine that Ohio State's built, right? They don't have the ability to compete at that level. Ohio State wants to play the best year in and year out. I think they know the current system penalizes you for that. The current system does not prop you up for playing Texas. The current system does not prop you up for playing Notre Dame.
Unless you win the game, which is what Ross is saying.
Yeah. If you lose to Ohio State, it's not a good thing. Even if it's in September, it's not a good thing. And I'll continue to say it's why Greg Sankey has been right the entire time. We're going to play ourselves as little as we need to, essentially, is what Greg Sankey has said. I'm not going to go to 9 games. Why am I going to go to 9 games if I don't have to? It only hurts us to play another game against ourselves.
And I think that's the Florida game for Texas last year, which is Ross touched on that as well later on in the interview where basically, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but Texas losing to Ohio State, and then they lose to Florida several weeks later. The Florida loss is really what did them in. If you'd lost to Ohio State, but you had beaten Florida, you'd have been fine. And I think that's what's challenging. And I guess I agree with what you're saying about that Ohio State, has a problem where the dregs of the Big Ten don't want to come up to their level. I agree with that. But I think that anybody who is on Ohio State's level, this would include Georgia, Bama, the powers in the SEC, the other powers in the Big Ten, because again, no matter what you think of Indiana or Oregon or like the secondary power Big Ten team, they're still making a lot of money for the conference. They are valuable contributors in the current day. Even if they haven't been part of the conference for more than 5 years, the way Ohio State has been forever, they're still very valuable. So to me, I guess I just find myself feeling like, even though, yes, I know what the Big Ten administrators tell us. Yes, I know what Ross is saying. I don't feel like genuinely in their heart, they're pushing for the Super League at this time. I think what they want,
would agree.
Genuinely what they want right now is they want to keep control of their scheduling, and they are in it's the old business saying, right? Once you have a process to generate your revenue and to win, why are we reinventing the wheel? Ohio State has that thing on lock, dude. Matt Patricia, like you just said, came back to Ohio State instead of going to the NFL because he knows he's going to get paid an assload of money, and he knows they're going to compete for a national championship, regardless of what Michigan's doing on any given year. And that to me is the problem that the Super League in concept has right now. And this is why the SEC doesn't want to play more than 8 or 9 conference games. This is why the SEC doesn't want to go to 10 games. This is why the Big 12 and the ACC are decades behind these two conferences, in my opinion. Literally, I'm not exaggerating.
Yes,
I think
I agree.
They're probably legitimately, I think the ACC and the Big 12 are probably 20 years behind the Big 10 and the SEC because you don't have the level of competition in those two conferences. The ACC, I will say, is fortunate to have Miami and Florida State because those two have shown an ability to get to the CFP regularly. But nobody is shaking in their boots over Texas Tech, with all due respect. Nobody's like, oh my God, Texas Tech is coming in this week. Man, we're just terrified. Oregon dispatched Texas Tech, dude. Oregon made that game look casual. Like, it's not, there are levels to this game, and the Big 12 and the ACC typically are not on that level. Exclude Miami and Florida State. And Florida State hasn't been that guy for a couple seasons now. So I guess I just feel like Ross can sit there and tell us about, money this and win that. But the reality is they're not going to change that formula until they're absolutely forced to. And
that's right.
That to me is the money. I don't know how you're going to force change in college football until there is, to your point, this overreaching benefit for everyone. Like, it has to be a thing where you're like, hey, the reason we're all doing the Super League is because of this shining North Star that we all want collectively. And until that happens, there's not going to be change. And that's, again, as I said yesterday, is what I feel like they're all working on right now. TV contracts end in 31-32. They've got a 4.5 season window here to figure it out. And if you don't figure it out by then, I'm not confident it's going to get figured out for probably another decade. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I think that the Super League, or a new entity, call it what you want, is going to happen. And it is going to happen because I think Tim Pernetti is a problem. I think that The Big Ten has no unity and no leadership, and that's when this will all change, in my opinion. I think it's inevitable the college football playoff will expand. Whether that is to 16 or 24, I don't think anybody knows. But the Big Ten's got to get on board. And I think a new entity that makes it very clear how and the way that you get in to the college football playoff, that is what is very needed here.
Yeah,
It has to, because it makes too much money for television and it makes too much money for the individual participants who make the postseason. I think you have to do it.
Yeah, I think the 16 or 2014 format it will not get done because the Big Ten wants it done. It'll get done because it makes people in the bigger picture more money. That's why TV networks, the SEC, the Big Ten, and even the Big 12 and the ACC, they'll want in on that. So eventually, I do think you'll see that.
Mike Smith hates Ross Bjork's hair.
Oh God, again. This is Teresa Gould's vest. I didn't notice his hair. What's the deal?
I don't know
what's going on.
Let's play the Just Win clip again.
When I was in the SEC, when we added Texas and Oklahoma, I was one of two people in the conference who said we should go to 10 games. Why not? If we want content, if we want to make our TV package way more valuable, let's just go to 10. The other guy was Nick Saban who said that way back when. And so I just think your conference content is becoming way more valuable.
I don't hate on his hair. Like, are you hating on his hair?
I mean, I tend to agree that it does look like a little fluff holding on for dear life. I do agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, I do.
Absolutely not. We have to create a super league already and go into the NFL style format. Totally agree. Tom Dean, good morning. 16 teams, 11 at large, one G6. No, I'm good. And one champion from each of the P4 leagues. I am not at all interested in having the G6 in the college football playoff. They need their own format for a championship. I'm just not. I've tried to figure that out, and I just don't think it's good for anybody. And it's not good for the G6, in my opinion. So in the G5 with the Pac, who's allegedly a conference. Expanding to 24 creates way too much space. And I don't trust the playoff committee to get the ranking legit. I agree 100%. Doug O'Reilly, if they want unlimited spending on NIL, smaller FBS schools should be in it in its own college football playoff bracket. I agree. Because they will never get through a playoff bracket against juice power 4 teams. It's not good for anybody. It really is not. Monty nailing it with the Big Ten topic. Well, I appreciate that. Yes, but each conference has those teams that are lower and viewed as auto wins, but occasionally those teams will rise up. Indiana's a good example. Yeah. And I think what Sig did at Indiana is amazing. Right. And my point is, how many people have Mark Cuban? Because Mark Cuban makes Kirk Cignetti possible. Who's the Minnesota guy? Who's the Nebraska guy? Who's the Rutgers guy? Look at the dregs of the Big Ten. The answer is I don't know. Why isn't Wisco winning? Wisconsin has everything they need. They're not winning. Just because you have money doesn't mean you know how to spend it, Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's scandals like Pedo U and Epstein Island over there.
Yeah, you guys notice that, I don't know, is it just me? Or is it very quiet in Penn State land right now? Like,
it's exactly what you want.
I guess.
With Matt Campbell there, I think this is exactly what you want.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think I would have wanted, hey, Matt Campbell sitting the recruiting trail. That's what I would have wanted. But.
Well, maybe. I'm surprised the TV networks don't push big games for non-con. It's a revenue that is lost, and they are.
Well, that's exactly
I don't think
what
there's
Ross
any
is talking about.
Yeah,
is Ohio State and Texas is not needed anymore, and that's the problem. Is that we all want those games,
and the TV networks want them. The conferences don't want them because they know it's bad for business. It's gonna keep teams out. You know. Also, networks probably push for those games. Texas versus Ohio State. They know those games will get huge ratings. Totally agree. The Chad Carter. I would expect a Super League will mean the gets more money than having to share it with low end of the Big Ten. That's exactly right.
Yeah, but what happened to performance-based revenue sharing? What happened to, this is my problem with Tony Petitti. Like, what happened in the Big Ten with, hey, if you're in the CFP, if you do this, if you do that, you're going to get more money. That was the whole point.
But the lower
of it.
ends don't want to have to perform to get more money. They
Well,
don't. That's the, I
But
just
that's
continue.
but we're agreeing. That's my
Yeah.
issue, is that Tony Petitti's got to herd the cats, dude. You need to. This is why I liked Brett Yormark's stance on it. Hey, if you're not going to try to win, we're not paying you. Like, it's just not happening. And again, where let's use Baylor. Just take them at their word. Hey, AD and Prez, where is all the reinvestment in the program? Hey, we didn't fire Dave
Doesn't
Aranda
exist.
because we want to reinvest that money in the program, yet you're not reinvesting it. Who knew? Like, that's the problem, dude. So again, we're all sitting here saying, oh, well, these going to get more money out of a Super League, than in the Big Ten. Okay, well, what's the structure to get that done? Because the Super League is supposed to have more teams, not less teams. And none of those low-end dregs of society are going to the Super League without a guarantee of payment.
That's right.
So again, it's fantasy land. With all due respect to you, Chad, I'm not trying to come after you, but it is to me a little bit of fantasy land to think that if that gets put together, that the Ohio States of the world or Bama, Georgia, the powerhouses are just instantly going to make more money. I just can't see that happening, dude. The only way to make more money is to create a system where you're paying them more for playoff wins. I am sick and tired of, like, this is my problem with Oregon. You want to have a problem with Oregon? This is the problem with Oregon. You're getting paid to get to a CFP game off of JMU and Texas Tech. Like, those are two games you shouldn't be playing if you're Oregon. They didn't have a choice. I'm not saying it's their fault. That's the system. But, like, teams like Oregon should have to play legitimate competition from the get. Like, that's just how it should be, and it's not. And that's why I hate this. Oh, well, man, we're going to benefit more with it. No, you're not. The only thing that's going to change is you're taking the human element out of it, and the networks will probably make more money. That's what's going to change.
Yeah. Can you comment on the fact that the Pac-12 flex game is not a flex because according to the rules they set, each team can only match up with one other team? No. The Pac-12 doesn't have the Pac-12 scheduling. The Pac-12 has a lot of problems. They don't have marquee matchups. They don't have great head-to-head. Their schedule is uninteresting, and you're going to have trouble finding their games. So they need another team. They have to have another team. All it takes is one coach. Indiana was a doormat. It doesn't take the coach. It takes Mark Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Cuban is how you win. He has Sass hairline with a small tuft of hair in the middle. Stephen A. Smith's hairline. Okay. Conundrum. Buckeyes can't keep dem boys because they've won a couple of titles since 2000. Okay. Oh, is Conundrum spouting again? I have him and several others on mute. 12 or 24, selection committee is going to screw it all up. I agree.
Agreed.
We need to eliminate it.
Agreed.
College football is not college basketball. Cinderella teams won't make it past maybe the first round of the CFP. Very difficult. Very difficult. Hey, playa, I am on official business today. Okay.
No, he's not meeting you for lunch. No, he's not going to the parade. No, he's not going to the city council meeting with you.
Hey, playa, you probably don't know this, but my profile picture is me and U.S. team hockey coach Mike. That's not Mike Sullivan.
That's not Mike Sullivan, bud.
It's not Mike Sullivan. How long before the Big Ten schools push for a new commish? I think those conversations have been had.
Ross lost the hell out of him in the interview. Ross talked all about how he's a great communicator and he's amazing and Tony's the best. And okay.
No way, Jake. What's the point for big money programs to do a super league if it doesn't mean the money machine grows? Nothing gets cheaper. All due respect, you're off on that one. Totally agree. Jake's dumb.
Yeah, the point is, dude,
Jake, you don't know ball.
Yeah, I know. Call me Buddy, who interviewed Trump.
Buddy.
The point is, why would Ohio State or anyone at that level get into the Super League? Because you're taking the CFP committee out of it. and you're more in control of your matchup. That's why. Because you have an NFL minor league model that allows you to say, okay, hey, if I go 10-2 or 11-1, as Ross was saying in that bite, okay, if I do that with the schedule that's been put forth, I will likely see this set of teams. It allows you to control your fate more. It allows you to say, hey, if I win on the field, this is what I'm going to get paid. Will it be marginally more? Sure. But I think what you're missing here, dude, is that money's not endless in terms of what we know today as CFP shares, right? Like the endless pool of money is in advertising. The endless pool of money is in your partner supporting the program. That's where your endless pool of money is, not from, TV contracts or any of those fixed numbers.
I don't know. I'm talking to Marcus about what TV companies want, and TV companies want week 1 games to be massive. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think a Super League makes everybody more money. Because if it doesn't make you more money, why would you do it? If it doesn't save you in legal fees and lawsuits, why would you do it?
Yeah. I mean, maybe your profit margin goes up. If you want to say your profit margin goes up, I can get down with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good with that.
See.
Yeah.
King of Thailand. I need to tell you guys, my life is so good. A 32-year-old girlfriend makes sports less relevant.
Listen, brother, I can envy your vibe, dude. You're off in some warm climate, not a lot to worry about, living like a king on the US dollar. Can't blame you, dude.
What I wouldn't give for warm sunshine and
dude,
green
I'm telling
fairways.
you guys, I'm just telling you guys, I've been warning you for years, and I don't have a date. We don't have a date. We have not talked about it or agreed upon anything. But one day, the Monty Show's not going to be around because we're going to be in a warm ass place, drinking our drink, living a simple life. So I'm just telling you, those King of Thailand vibes, infecting the comment section. Just telling you, that's coming for everybody one day. It's going to happen.
I am going to disappear, and you're never going to know why. I won't shut down my YouTube channel. I won't shut down my socials. You'll just never hear from me again. Might be the CIA. Might be
NSA, CIA. We're going to Cash Patel that ass. We're going to get on the G5.
You live your best life, King. Do it. That young girlfriend getting you in a new workout regimen better be. I know this is kind of off topic. Bobby Fowler. Sure, you guys don't care a bit, but Iowa's booster club called the Swarm is scared to spend money since Caden Proctor debacle. Well,
yeah, because you're Iowa and you don't know how to attract big name talent. That's the problem.
And you won't fire your coach,
who is also bitching about NIL and tampering and it's just Rob, I feel for you, dude. As an Iowa fan, I am sure you're frustrating.
It's Bobby Fowler.
Hey, Bobby F. I'm sure that you're probably frustrated, and I don't blame you.
Yep. Speaking of Iowa, I thought they were going to let Ferentz retire so they can move on, but it seems like you hear nothing about
who are you, Utah?
That's what I'm saying. Looking at FSU's debt, money appears to be endless for them. Why stop now? Well, their debt.
Listen, we're $440 million in debt.
Bro.
Why stop there? Why don't we just get to $500 million? What's the problem?
Their debt is outrageous.
I don't even want to know what interest is on that.
Dude. It's wow. I don't know how you fix that. I'm 47 and about 3 years away. Dude, I am not kidding you.
We can mix this in, by the way. You guys want to talk about this? Let's mix it in, dude. We got time.
I had one of those days yesterday where you just want to rip your eyeballs out.
What's your preferred tool, though? Are you a screwdriver guy, or we talking fish hooks?
Butter
what
knives.
are we working on? Butter knives. Okay, Sharon.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. Okay.
No, I had one of those days yesterday where you're just off a beat. I actually looked at airfare to Florida. I was like, bro, I take several walks a day, right? I try to walk half a mile 3 times a day and get my 6,000 steps in. And I I get back from my lunchtime walk and it's cold. It's cold. It's like 39 degrees, cloudy. There's a breeze. I got the glass cutters out. It was cold. And I was sitting there enjoying my meal prep lunch. I had ground turkey, vegetables, amazing like fajita, bell pepper, onion mix. Like, it was awesome. And after I slammed that down my throat like I'm Jake on Dan Lanning, I was just like, dude, I am so cold.
Macaque.
And so I started looking at airfare and I was like, I wonder if my wife would just get on a plane Thursday night and let's go to Florida. Well, it turns out it's $1,000 each way. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm thinking that's not, Come on, dude. Yeah. Who am I, Josh Pate, interviewing the president?
Problem is you're not willing to fly cheap ass airfare on Southwest or something.
I am. It's just not available from Seattle. The airport in Seattle is expensive. It's not ideal. But my point is, dude, I need some warm sunshine in fairways. I'm so tired of being cold. Like it is crazy that I'm soft. I'm old and I'm soft.
There's nothing wrong with it, dude. There's nothing wrong with it. And again, this is I said this to you when I came up to visit. You laughed at me, but I said, how long? How many years how many years do we as people work as much as we do before we say, you know what, like it's good. I'm going to go enjoy the sun and I'm going to find that balance where I still work a little bit or, I still work enough, but I have way more enjoyment in my life. That's a question that we as people are constantly weighing. I feel like constantly weighing.
I'm not ready. I like working. And I actually love living in Seattle. But dude, everybody asks me about the rain. I don't care about the rain. You learn to you just walk in the rain. It doesn't matter. Because it's never like a torrential downpour. It is usually just a drizzle or a mist.
Yeah.
And you just get used to it. To me, it's the cold that it's the cold. Like I hate
the good
playing
news is
golf
next week
in the cold.
looks better. Next week is no rain, sun, looks better.
It does look better. I agree. It looks better. And I'm excited. We're going to Newport Beach in about a month. We're going to Newport Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really looking forward to that. But
yeah,
dude,
Steve,
it's just the cold that is driving me crazy.
Yeah, Steve, I know it's been like 65 and sunny in Kansas like every day this winter. Not that that's abnormal or anything, just saying. That's not weird or anything.
Yeah. And it makes me crazy that it's warm during the week. I get to the weekend when I can afford time to play golf, 48 degrees and rain. Like, bro,
oh man, dude.
Yeah. I want to go to Clearwater and cause total chaos in the Scientology Center. Or is there a Scientology Center there?
Well, I want to go meet Tom Cruise, man. Come on.
Yeah. I'm curious if Florida is ever a good place to live. I'm really curious about this no property tax thing.
In Florida?
Yeah. Because they don't have a state income tax, and now they're eliminating property tax, they say.
Mm-hmm. They'll get you somewhere.
They're like the price of gas is probably going to be $800 a gallon.
Yeah, I mean they'll get you somewhere for sure.
But I don't want to leave Seattle. I love living in Seattle, and now I've just built in the infrastructure costs of living in Seattle into my everyday life. So I don't buy food anymore. You're
just eating noodles every day.
Top ramen.
Right.
And stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but Stepanek, the problem is you're having unseasonably warm temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
So, Marty, I hate the cold and being wet. So naturally, I don't hate it. What I'm struggling with is I want it to be 70 degrees, even if just for a week. Wait, isn't Seattle like cold and wet 98% of the time? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
October was amazing here.
The problem is that, again, winter in the PNW is it does rain, I would say, at least 4 times a week. And the days it doesn't rain is you are going to have cloud cover. It's extremely rare to have a bluebird day in the PNW. Extremely rare.
Yeah.
Typically you will have, on a nice day, you're going to have like a nice day right now is going to be 55, 60 at most. And you're going to have partly cloudy with a slight breeze. That's a nice day in the PNW right now.
Yep. I think that's exactly right. But I listen, it's not the weather up here that bothers me. It's just, I probably would be not saying the same thing if I still lived in Salt Lake, because it's been like 60 and sunny, unseasonably warm. So, had my boat out Sunday, 75, no wind. It was a very nice day. Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Florida makes its money through tourism, so they add taxes to hotels and tourist traps. I'm sure that's true.
Do you think you'll get Mrs. Monty to live in Florida one day?
No, she'll never live in Florida. I don't think my wife would ever live in Florida. The good news is now, like I said, we've adjusted to paying $8 million a month for rent. Bro, we were looking at condos for investment properties. Condo towers in Seattle have $1,600 HOAs on top of $1 million mortgage note. Nah, bro. I'm good.
Yeah, no, that's not the play.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing that. Would love to move back to Florida, get a decent boat and waste the day just fishing. Yeah. Utah used to be the ideal place to live. You get all 4 seasons, long enough to only stand one season until it changed. Now it's just summer all year, sprinkled with a couple of cold months. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And like in Seattle, the thing is, the weather has changed so dramatically. Like October and November, we got a lot of sunshine, right? Like all you ever hear about in Seattle is, it's always cloudy and rainy. Nothing could be further from the truth. That's just not the case. It is not always cloudy and raining here.
Mm-hmm.
Norge says the problem with winter all along the Wasatch are the inversions. Reason I had to leave. Yeah, inversion sucks. I agree with that. Take her to Florida and Crystal Rivers area and let her swim with the manatee. It's magical. Ooh, I like that. Property tax in Florida needs to go to the voters, 60% or more to pass. I hope it does. Let's see. Last week we were in the 70s, and the other night it was freezing. I hate the bipolar weather here in Central Texas. Yeah. Texas has weird weather right now. Weird weather. Well, and that's the trade-off. Florida, the humidity in June, July, August.
It is so rough, dude.
Bro. So I said, I love the weather in Seattle. I'm not hating on the weather in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
It's February. We're in the middle of winter. I'm ready for the goddamn groundhog to die. Right. And now days are getting longer. It's nice that at 5:00, it's still sunny out.
Mm-hmm.
Still light out. I'm just, I'm old and howling at the wind. I'm old and howling at the wind, which is sort of what Steve Sarkisian did the other day. Jake got all fired up about this bite. I don't know. Is this bite a nothing burger or is this substantial out of Sark?
And I think some of that is, when did they really enter the portal? You guys think because it says on the internet he entered the portal. I view when a guy enters the portal when his name is actually in the portal. That's what we live by. I don't get to call a kid because you guys tweet so-and-so's in the portal. So when a young man goes to compliance to say that he's in the portal, I technically have 48 hours to release him and 48 hours of business days. So if a young man decided to go in the portal on Friday, I really don't have to put him in the portal until the following Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on when he went in. And so it may be reported that he's in the portal, but technically he's not in the portal until we release him to go into the portal. So there's varying circumstances on that. So I really didn't necessarily change our philosophy. When guys went in, they were in. But there were a couple unforeseen situations that came up that allowed us to alter that.
First of all, can we talk about the eyes? How focused is this dude, bro? Like, what is this guy on that he is this laser? Like, dude's got like laser eyes working in this clip, dude. It's weird.
Do you always fascinate over the way a bro looks?
Yeah, dude. I don't care if it's Fernando Mendoza's aunt or Sark in his his eyes. Like, dude, it's weird.
And I think some of that is, when did they really enter the portal? You guys think because it says on the internet he entered the portal. I view when a guy enters the portal when his name is actually in the portal. That's what we live by. I don't get to call it.
Okay. I don't think that's what he's doing.
Bro, come on. Come on.
Look, Stark on amphetamines is something else.
Yeah.
But do you guys see the game that's played on the portal? Like, first of all, I hate it. I absolutely hate the portal thing. I don't have nearly as much trouble with NIL as I have with the transfer portal.
Tampering 101.
And you look at what Sark is saying there. He's basically saying, well, I'm not going to put this guy in until the 47th hour and 59th second because I have 48 business hours. So if he goes in, if he tells me on Friday, I'm not putting him in until late in the day on Monday, because I'm going to take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and most of Monday, and I'm going to try and convince him he's a dumbass and he needs to stay at Texas. Hook him.
Come on, dude.
Right? Like, that's what he's saying. But I don't know. The games we play with the portal, and then you hear this thing about tampering. And the NCAA allegedly, and I say allegedly, is going to come down and smack your bag now. They are going to be on the attack for tampering. They are going to really allegedly crack the whip on it. Thank you, Ole Miss. But this isn't going to fix anything. Do we believe that what Sark is saying here, Jake, and what the NCAA is saying about coming down on tampering, does this fix the tampering thing?
Not unless they discipline people for it. Like, I think that, this, I guess I just feel like there's two sides to this. And Ferentz can sit there and bitch and moan about tampering and, the Dabos and anybody who wants to get on that side of the conversation and be holier than thou. But the reality is college football coaches are put in this terrible position where it's like, all right, well, these guys are tampering and we're not, but we're losing and they're winning. So what are we supposed to do? Okay, we're going to tamper and we're going to deal with the consequences of that should they come down. So I'm not saying that it's correct. I'm saying it's necessary. And the NCAA can put out memos and can say that, well, you're not allowed to contact a kid until he's in the portal. But this is a schoolyard playground, dude. This is a bunch of kids who are battling over a turf war. And as soon as it gets out that Buddy's getting in the portal, everybody and their mom is going to reach out to dude, whether he's in the portal or not, because perception is reality. And Sark is exactly right. When it goes out on Twitter, you're in the portal. Nobody cares if you're actually in or not. Like, that's a Damon Williams thing, right? You're in the portal. And then, oh, no, you're not in the portal, and now you're on back. Like,
but how much, what is tampering and what's not?
Well, legally, tampering is contacting the kid before he's in the portal. But I would contend that culturally speaking in college football, that's not tampering. I think tampering is when you've signed a kid out of the portal and another school is still getting after him, even though he's already committed.
I would agree. I think tampering goes too far when the kid's enrolled, he gets in the portal, goes to a new school, signs an NIL agreement, is in class, and you contact him. That's tampering. what they did at Ole Miss is tampering, and they should be seriously and severely punished for that.
Tampering.
I think there's got to come a point where you get a portal limit. If you are caught tampering, you can only have 3 guys in the portal. You're whatever. You're a portal. You have to skip a portal cycle.
Yeah, some type of restriction.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right.
Tampering.
Because that's the only way to make people stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay, I changed my profile picture. It's me and the Olympic hockey coach. I'm the one in the Buffalo Bills. There's no Buffalo Bills hoodie in this
Bro,
picture.
I know you didn't just say, I'm the one in the Buffalo Bills hoodie, as if we had no idea that you had a Buffalo Bills hoodie, dude. And yeah, there's no Buffalo Bills hoodie in the picture. Like,
what?
You
do you. Between Sark Laser Eyes and Scally's Laser Jaw has opened up a new dimension. There's no reason to bring up Morgan Scally's face here.
Dude.
By the way, Morgan Scally just signed a contract to play the Joker in the next Batman film.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Me?
That's awkward. That Morgan's got Sark's hair and the jaw.
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
That jawline, though. It's
all part of the plan.
They contact their agent, or that agent is contacting the school. I think the way that tampering works and what needs to be fixed are these unregistered agents. I think that's the biggest issue here, is that you have the NCAA threatening these, end of time scenario punishments. The agent is the one taking advantage of the player. Damon Williams at Washington, you can't tell me Damon made that decision on his own.
No way.
I don't believe that.
Tampering.
I've talked to people at Washington, and I don't for a second believe that Damon Williams made that decision on his own. I just don't believe that. I don't buy that for a second. You're just not going to. He's getting bad advice. You look at all these kids, they're getting bad advice.
Yes.
And you have to have an agent registration program. They have to meet a certain bar. But how do you adjudicate that?
Tampering.
I don't know how you. I don't know how you. How do you enforce that? You don't have a college football player association.
Nope.
You don't have an agent registration program.
You complain. That's how. You complain, you provide evidence, and you give them what they need to go after them.
Well, Brandon, this is a family show, so making comments like this, that's uncalled for.
Yeah, why are we talking about backdooring people?
Hugh Janus.
No means maybe. Okay, so let's grow up. Brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't for a second believe, and this is just my opinion, I don't for a second believe that there is any way that we're going to be able to control the wild, wild west.
Brother.
I just don't think that happens. This is who we are as in college football anymore.
Yes, carnivores, dude. We're just trying to get after it. That's it.
Right. I think that we're in a place where because who really wants to control tampering? If you really dip into it, who's trying to control tampering?
Tampering.
The lesser teams are trying to control tampering.
Yes.
Because no kid is signing at Ohio State and then being like, oh, bro, I'm getting back in the portal to go to Comanche University.
Come on, dude.
Nobody's doing that.
Oh,
nobody's doing that.
Hell no. Hell no.
But people are throat slamming Dan Lanning. Can we get into this Joel Klatt thing real quick? Look, I'm not a smart
Why do you
man.
hate Dan Lanning? Why do you hate Dan Lanning?
I don't get to interview the president about college football and then not ask about college football. I'm not on that level. Yeah, I don't make the rules. Okay? I don't That's not the life. That's not the life that I get to lead. Can anybody explain to me what Dan Lanning's done to be glossed as the 4th best coach in college football, like he's a glizzy at Costco?
What has Kyle Whittingham done to be at 7?
Won a lot for a long time.
He's never been to the CFP.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it. Oh my God, dude, come on.
Does not matter,
dude. You cannot say it doesn't matter about Witt and then say that Dan's done nothing. You can't do that, dude. That's just not. That's no.
So you would rather have Dan Lanning than Kyle Whittingham
in today's college football era? Absolutely.
You're
100%.
out of your fucking mind.
100%.
You are out of your mind,
dude.
No
100%.
chance. No
100%.
chance. Kyle Whittingham is a maker of men and a builder of programs. He has shown that for 20 years. He is the original BCS buster at Utah, because it's not Utah, it's Utah. He is the original BCS buster at Utah. He does it right. He recruits well. Now, he doesn't want quarterbacks on his roster, but that's a different conversation. I am telling Kyle Whittingham runs circles around
Except
Dan
for the
Lanning.
fact that he doesn't go to the CFP. Like,
well, I also think that going to the CFP isn't a badge of honor anymore. And if you want to be like Marcus Freeman, is Marcus Freeman an elite coach? Has he won a national championship? Should he be top line?
yes, he should be top line. He should be ahead of Dan.
Okay. So Sark is not as good a coach as Marcus Freeman or Dan Lanning.
No, he's not.
You're
Not
telling
right
me
now.
that Lane Kiffin, you would rather have Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman, Steve Sarkisian, Kalani Sitake, and Mario Cristobal over Lane Kiffin?
No, I would rather have Lane Kiffin. I would have ahead of Sark and Witt and Kalani. And I think that Mario is somewhere in between because now he's been to a national championship game.
Ryan Day is the best coach in college football. And the idea that you're putting Kirk Cignetti, it's wild to me. Kirk Cignetti is not close to the best coach in college football.
But what is your measuring stick? I agree that it's a one and done year.
Winning over a long period of time has to matter in today's college football world. Because when you have a donor and you have money, you can win a championship. But can you win those championships over a long arc? It's why Kirby Smart's elite. And it's why Dan Lanning has no business being on the top line of this graphic. Dan Lanning's done nothing. Dan Lanning's won nothing. Dan Lanning has only shown you when he runs into good teams in the college football playoff, he folds. Dan Lanning's done nothing. At least my guy Marcus, who can't count to 10, knows how to get to a national championship. Now, has he won one? No. Marcus Freeman's a better coach than Dan Lanning. And it's hard for me to say that out loud.
No, it's not. You don't like Dan Lanning.
I don't like Marcus Freeman. I'm not a Marcus Freeman guy. But any jackwagon putting Lane Kiffin as the 10th best coach in college football, you just don't belong talking college football. This is rage baiting by Joel Klatt, plain and simple. Mm-hmm. That's why he's got Lane Kiffin 10th.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
That's why. Mario Cristobal is not one of the 10 best coaches in college football.
Then what is he? I mean, he's just gone to a program. And see, that's my problem. This is why I don't understand. Like, I agree that it matters how often you're in the national championship game or how often you win a national championship. Of course that matters. But there's a clear delineation with the candidates on this list, right? Like, again, this is why Dan shouldn't be ahead of Marcus Freeman, right? Dan hasn't been to the national championship game as a head coach, just like Sark, Witt, Kalani, and Lane haven't been to the national championship game as a head coach, right? But Mario has, Marcus has, Kirby has, Ryan Day has, and Cignetti has.
Yep.
So in my opinion, Mario Cristobal is instantly a top line guy, and Dan Lanning is not. It should be Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, Kurt Cignetti, Marcus Freeman, and Mario Cristobal on the top line. The bottom line should be any combination of, in my opinion, my order based on results would be Lane Kiffin so Lane Kiffin would be 6th, Dan Lanning would be 7th. I would then have Witt, Kalani, and Sark. I'd probably have Sark ahead of Witt and Satake.
Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, Marcus Freeman, Steve Sarkisian. Those are your top 5. I would put Kyle Whittingham 6th. I would put Dan Lanning 7th. I would put Sig 6th. Witt 7th. Dan Lanning 8th. Kalani 9th. And I don't think Mario Cristobal's on this list. I think I would give me Kalen DeBoer over Mario Cristobal. 100%. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of other, is Dabo even in the conversation?
No.
It's probably not. I look at, that's tough, dude. I think, where's Kenny Dillingham? Where is Kenny? And I guess this is the question. Do you want Kenny Dillingham or Mario Cristobal? Because I would take Kenny Dillingham.
Why?
Because he's young, he recruits, and he wins.
Right, but he's only done it one time.
Right, but at Arizona State. That's not an easy trick to turn. Right? I think that's a big one. I think that's probably the entirety of the top 10. I mean, I just don't know that you... Yeah, other than that, I just don't see... Dan Lanning's very controversial, as he's way too high on this list. Dan Lanning is not a top 5 coach. He can't win big games. He has struggled to win big games.
Mm-hmm.
As has Marcus. I mean, I probably... Day, Smart.
I think Day and Smart are unequivocally the 2 best coaches in college football. I think that they're on a different level.
I think Lane Kiffin's in that same conversation. He needs to win a national championship now. I think Marcus is probably 4th. Sig is probably 5th. Sark is probably 6th. I don't know. I'm probably being too critical, but...
Well, I just think the problem here, take Kalani just as an example. The problem for Kalani on this list is you haven't even won a conference championship yet. But I think just saying that and criticizing him for that lacks a lot of context based on BYU's path, and where BYU is in their arc. But I don't think that, obviously Kalani's doing a great job, but I don't have him as a top 10 coach. Probably a top 20 coach, top 15 coach, not top 10 yet. I think you got to win your conference. You got to make the CFP appearance. I think that this is why I have an issue with the perception of Dan Lanning. Because I agree with you largely that guys got to prove he can win big games. It's his single biggest criticism, and it's his single biggest issue. You have funding. You seemingly can recruit at a certain level. I don't think you're the best recruiter in college football, but I do think that you recruit well enough to be competitive on a CFP level pretty much every single year. Yeah. And the issue is that the shortcomings in your recruitment show up against good teams. So
here's the other point to your logic. Then, is it Mario Cristobal a better coach than Dan Lanning?
Yeah, he is right now. Yeah, he is. That's what I'm saying. Dan's a second line guy here.
Isn't Kalen DeBoer a better coach than Mario Cristobal and Dan Lanning? Because Kalen DeBoer is routinely beaten Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think Kalen DeBoer is the obvious omission from this list, and I agree that Kalani. It's too lofty to have Kalani on that in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one guy you got to take out, it's probably Kalani, and I think you have to have Kalen DeBoer on that list.
Yeah,
what he's done in Alabama, replacing Nick Saban.
Well, what he did
after
at
what he did at Washington.
Yeah, the Washington thing is the one that is a clear omission on the list. Like going to the national championship game at Washington, especially knowing what was going on at Michigan, I think is, I think is why DeBoer should be on this list, certainly above Kalani. And again, I agree. This is clickbaiting for sure, which I don't have a problem with, but I just think that the lines in the sand are very clear. You have head coaches in college football who have won national championships in the last 10 years, last 5 years. Those guys are on a different level than guys who are just consistently in the CFP but can't get even to the national championship game.
Yep.
So that's why I say, for me, when Ryan Day and Kirby Smart have done it multiple times and have multiple national championships, they're on a different level. They're 1-2 on this list, any way you want to put them. I don't really care what order. Then I think you've got the Signettis and the Cristobal's who have won national championships or gone to the national championship game recently. And then I think you've got, and I would put Marcus Freeman in that one, obviously. And then I think you've got a collection of guys like Lane Kiffin and Dan Lanning and Steve Sarkisian who have gone to the CFP regularly and consistently, but just haven't gotten over the top.
I think, well, Lane Kiffin hasn't. I think Lane Kiffin is... If Lane Kiffin had a national championship, he'd be the best coach in college football. It's hard to argue with the way he recruits in portals. It's hard to argue the way he develops talent. It's hard to argue the way he develops coaches. Like, his programs win. And since he went to Florida Atlantic, and really since he spent time under Nick Saban, he's become a completely different guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think time will tell. But the idea that there are 9 guys that better at coaching college football teams than Lane Kiffin is absurd.
Agreed. And Joe Klatt's a Big Ten guy, obviously.
Yeah. Lanning has got into the CFP. Has Utah? Utah is not. Utah is not. Kyle Whittingham is an excellent coach.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent coach. What about the consistency? And he has Whit is about consistency in a resume. Weak take, Jake. Dan is a good coach, but he's all sizzle. I agree. He's a good soundbite. Totally agree with that.
No. See, I just disagree. Yeah, is he good for a soundbite? Yes. But Dan Lanning has the hammer. If you're going to compare him to Kalani and Witt, you can't. I don't care if you don't like it, Brandon. He's got the hammer.
He does. He's been there.
Witt couldn't beat Ohio State because Cam Rising got hurt.
It's the pig farmer.
Yeah.
It's the pig farmer.
And again, that's the ultimate indictment against Kyle Whittingham. And you're putting me in a position where I'm ripping a guy that I respect massively. I respect everything that Witt has done. He's had an incredible career. He's a hell of a college football coach. But we're not talking about the BCS, dude. We're not talking about 25 years ago. We're talking about the college football era and right now. And I'm sorry, I can't have Kyle Whittingham over Dan Lanning in today's current football landscape. Now, you go to Michigan and you win a national championship, I'm going to beat the shit out of Dan Lanning for not winning big games when Kyle Whittingham went to a new school for the first time in 20 years and did what you couldn't. Like, that's what's on the line for Whittingham's resume.
Yeah. Sergeant Green, without trying to sound like a hater, but I hate Kiffin. A lot of people do.
Kiffin's antics definitely hurt him on this list. There's no doubt.
Also got to consider that Kurt is not getting some of the top blue chip players like some other coaches' schools, and he's doing it completely differently than everybody else. He is buying older players and banking maturity and his ability to get the top end out of those older players. And he's done a great job with it.
Do it again.
Right.
Do it again.
But how long can you spend this money? We'll see. Yeah, proof will be in the time.
Kurt Signetti's great equalizer currently is it's 1 year. You did it once. Now everyone knows you. Everyone knows the tape. Everyone knows the scheme. Everyone knows what you're doing. Go beat them again. Go do what Ryan Day did. Go do what Kirby's done. Go do what Saban's done. Then you can be one of the greatest in the game.
Rock and Ran. Oh boy, this is going to be a pro Cristobal take. I don't care if you do or do not want to have Mario in the top 10. Dan Lanning has no business ahead of him. Mario at least left Oregon in a good place versus having to completely fix Miami. Well, I don't disagree with that. What Mario's done, just pipeline. Listen, Rock, I don't have to tell you this. The political schism in the city of Miami is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look at the mayor getting that. Dude,
Yeah, Mario
just
has disadvantages.
navigating that.
Yeah, Mario has disadvantages that Dan doesn't have to deal with, and that's why I said, again, if you put the graphic back up there, I'm referring to Mario as a top line guy, right? In this graphic, a top 10 head coaches with the candidates that are on the screen, Mario should be a top line guy. Again, Ryan Day, Kirby Smart are 1 and 2. Then you've got Mario between 3 and 5, probably 5 because he's only done it. He's only done it for 1 year, and I got to have
So what are
Kurt
you,
Cinetti
Ryan,
ahead of him.
Kirby, Kurt, Marcus, and
then Mario.
You're crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
You not only can you not hit a driver, you hate Lane Kiffin and his sexy ass daughter.
Listen,
and it's disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not willing. This is what I'm not willing to do with head coaches right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to say, hey, you've had a great career. You've done a lot of great things. Whittingham has, right? Like Sark has. So the depths of Sark's despair to where he is now is an incredible story. Like, needs to be respected. Incredible job. But we also can't discount guys, because this is what we're doing to Dan Lanning. We're saying, oh, well, he's at Oregon. He hasn't won the big game. He's a soundbite. He's a sizzle guy. He's all sizzle and no talk. Yeah, well, the all talk part runs out when you start to look at the CFP wins, albeit against weak competition, which he can't control. What's the guy supposed to do? Say, yeah, we're going to lose to JMU.
Win a big game against a good team.
Right, but that's what you're focused on. You want to put Witt ahead of Dan Lanning, even though Witt's been way more successful, miles more successful, where it matters. That's the problem. Like, if Witt had beat Ohio State and then gone on to the CFP, I'd have won a Rose
Bowl. If he had won a Rose Bowl, we'd be having a different conversation.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah.
So it's up for conjecture. Dan Lanning has done nothing, and
I just disagree with that completely.
When you have Phil Knight's bread and you don't win, that's a problem.
But see, that's not a fair take to say he doesn't win. He doesn't win national championships.
He doesn't. They're not deep. They're not talented, and they do not win big games in the college football playoff. It's cool you beat JMU.
And
congratulations.
Okay. No, don't do it. Everybody said Texas Tech was a great team, and they were going to give Oregon trouble, and they simply went out and kicked the hell out of that team.
They dominated them.
Like, I'm with you that he hasn't won the big game. But I'm not going to do, and we'll probably disagree on this till the end of time, but you can't you can't just ignore that he has actually won games. No, last season was not good enough. It was a disappointment by Oregon standards. That is not in dispute. But if you're going to compare the guy to all these other candidates, like, it's got to be said, hey, Sark, hey, man, you were able to beat Arizona State. Like, the criticism should be the same of Sark that it is a Dan Lanning. Sark has more money than Dan Lanning and has done less.
Stop.
You don't think that Sark has more money than Dan?
Dan Lanning has arguably the best job in college football. You're never getting fired. You have more money than God. Now, you have to live in the seventh circle of the Lord's butthole, Eugene, Oregon. That probably is too strong. But my point is, it's not. Okay, good. Thank you. My point is, Dan Lanning is never getting fired. Dan Lanning is making incredible money. Dan Lanning gets free Jordans. What more could you want? He's got a cush gig, a lot of money, a lot of stability, and he is not good enough defensively. And he just lost Tosh Lapoy and Will Stein.
Yep.
We're about to figure out if promoting from within is what Dan Lanning should have did, because it's what he should have done and did. Whatever I just said. It's, it's fine. Well,
so I just want to point this out. I just want to point this out about money, right? And this is just not paperwork, just cursory Google search, right? You've got $119.5 million in revenue for Oregon in 2025 fiscal year for football, just for football, right? Expenses were $60 million. Net profit, $58 million. Texas has $298 million in revenue and is projected to have a $40 million roster with $20 million in rev sharing. Texas is the first school to exceed $300 million in both revenue and expenses. So I don't know, man. Yes, Phil Knight's money. Yes. But I think that Texas competes with Ohio State with spending and revenue, not Oregon. I think they're above Oregon. I think that everyone thinks that Phil Knight is just giving, like $500-600 million or some wild ass number to this
Dan
program.
has more money than he will ever need. He has more money than he will ever need to field the best roster possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's got what he needs to win. I agree with that. But I will die on the hill that he is not just sizzle, that we're just writing off the fact that the guy is in the CFP regularly and consistently, and that the guy is, winning games in the CFP, which other coaches and teams are not doing.
Yeah, I just don't. Excuse me. I, again, will just say Dan Lanning doesn't have enough talent for the money that he has and the resources that he has. They have
I'll never understand the Raiola acquisition. Don't understand
they
what
have
you're looking at there.
Unparalleled facilities. I mean, dude, there is nothing more you could ever want or need than what Oregon provides you as a football player. And yet, now I agree, living in the brown eye probably is hurting your recruiting. Did he go to Alabama? Did he take the Alabama job?
No, he did not. And I think that's a conversation.
Did he take the LSU job?
Do you think that, I don't know that the LSU job for Dan was a fit. The Bama one, certainly. LSU, I feel like that, you want to talk about LSU being over his head? I can agree with that. I think LSU was much more for Lane Kiffin than anybody. That just was like a match made in heaven. I don't think that I'm not so sure that Dan's cut out for the politics of Baton Rouge at all. I don't think that's, yeah.
Well, at some point you're going to have to go to that. And
yeah,
I just will continue to say he has every asset he needs to win football games. And he does not. And when he took the Oregon job, it's not like he walked into a crater and had to rebuild from he didn't. He has the money, he has the recruiting abilities, and he has the facilities. He does not win. And furthermore, you're able to go and get a guy like Bo Nix, you lost. Dante Moore, you lost. Dylan Raiola, he's fat. Like, you're able to go and get quarterbacks, but you don't win because you're not deep. And I don't know. We could go on and on and on. He's got Texas money. He's got like the biggest he's got. And while it may not be the dollar figure, he's got all the money he needs to recruit and win. I'm just telling you, it is. The only reason Lanning is on this pedestal is because he went undefeated in their first Big Ten season and he needed some trick plays to go. He won the games, though. It's not even that. It's crazy to Monty thinks Lanning has Texas money. So let me ask you this. Does he not have enough money to win a national championship?
That point,
my point is not.
Yeah.
My point is not that he has the exact same dollar figures. He's got the resources to win a national championship. There are no excuses at Oregon. The problem is you're never getting fired. Dan Lanning could go there and win 7 games a year for the next 10 years. He would not be fired. He just won't be fired. Phil Knight's not firing Dan Lanning. It's not. This revenue thing is interesting because you can spend like that, like the Mets, and still not be on the same level as the Dodgers. Exactly right. You got to, the value out of the dollar, you got to, and you have to develop players. It's Kyle Whittingham's biggest crutch at Utah. He never had a big time quarterback. Right? Yes. The issue with Texas was never about money. They have always had it. Always had it. They finally got a coach that has them in contention. He just has to get over the hump. He's got to get more out of Arch Manning. Right? And yes, it's crazy that somebody with the pocketbook that Dan Lanning hasn't won.
And again, I also want to point out, just in fairness, I think that experience does matter too, right? Like, I would agree that Dan's got everything he needs to win a national championship in Oregon. Totally agree with that. That excuse certainly does not. There's no, like, you can't say that Dan doesn't have enough to win a national championship. He absolutely does. He's got everything he'd ever need. So I agree with all of that. I think that the one thing Dan doesn't have working for him is that he's been, a head coach at this level for like 20 years. He's only been a head coach at Oregon since 22. And I think people forget that. He has been coaching since 07. But when you're talking about competing at this level and doing it over and over and over again, I do think there's value. And this is what we worked through with Ryan Day, right? Ryan Day for the longest time was this guy who Ohio State fan was like, hey, it's not good enough anymore. You get to the national championship game, you don't win enough, yada, yada, yada. Kind of the same thing in a sense, where it's like, hey, you're kind of getting there, but you're not winning enough. And then he finally figured it out. So if we're gonna criticize Dan for this, and I agree the criticism's justified on he's got resources, he should win and hasn't yet. I agree with that. At some point, though, he is going to win. What you can't escape is that he is in the CFP regularly, even 4 years in. He's there regularly. He's getting at bats, and eventually he's going to hit the home run. And then it's going to turn into, okay, well, in that time until Dan wins a national championship, what else has happened in the Big Ten? Has it still been the Ohio State show? Has Curt Cignetti won back-to-back national championships? Has Curt Cignetti built a dynasty? Did Witt figure it out at Michigan? That's what the issue for the Big Ten is right now. Who's going to take that thing and run with it? Because right now it's Ohio State and everyone else. It still is, even though you've got some good brands. I still think it's, even with Indiana's national championship, that's 1 year. Ohio State's done it for a long, long time, man. And that's what the Big Ten needs to get over. Yeah, it's going to block the Mountain View, dude. It's going to block the Mountain View.
What do you like about Eugene? Jake, tell me what you like about Eugene.
Yeah, Oregon's new IPF is really, it's doing it for me, dude. It's not putting me in a strong position to give you some long-winded take. I think that I like the course I play. It's relatively cheap to live here, generally speaking.
Look at him struggling for words. There's a gas station. There's a grocery store.
Neither of which I like. It's just, yeah.
We got a Costco.
Yeah.
Better than Guadalajara.
Yeah. I like the Costco, dude. I like the Costco. Yeah, dude. The Costco's nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did they sell any Oregon stuff?
Oh, all kinds, dude. All kinds. Yep. All kinds, dude. Yep.
Any
pants,
Oregon brand, any Oregon branded lollipop wrappers?
No. Nope.
Yes, James swoops in and lays down a line that will trigger Monty and Jake. It didn't. Hey, Monty Show. Hey, Brandon Butler. Legit question for you both. How soon does Kyle make the CFP at Cheatigan? I think he has a legitimate shot to make it this year.
You gotta leave. The Cheatigan nomenclature cannot be in the same sentence as Kyle Whittingham, dude. That's not fair to Whit, dude. You can't do that to Buddy.
Nobody forced him to take over for butter knives.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
If Lanning is on a trajectory, then he's doing great. If he's hit his ceiling, then everyone's right. He's overrated. Yeah.
Yeah. Guess we'll find out, bro.
Yeah. Big Daddy Magic. I like Down Landing. He was nice to me when I met him twice. Who's Down Landing?
Dude,
Down Landing?
This is Don't Want to Platerson, dude.
Maybe
Down Landing.
Listen, maybe instead of a Buffalo Bills sweatshirt, we should have got you spell check.
Dude.
I don't know who the Down Landing is. Down Landing.
And the funny part about this is bro's not even trying to be funny here. This is legitimately the take.
His Mrs. Jake has a good job there.
Man, dude.
Yes, she does. I was wondering when James was going to chime in.
Yeah.
Oh, he chimed in. Sergeant Green, it's got a clear roof. Nobody.
Stop. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares about stupid stadium renovations. Nobody cares. James. Hey, James. James. Josh Hoover no longer goes to TCU. Suck it. Down Landing probably coaches a Bishop Sycamore. Down Landing. Down Landing is the generic version of Knots Landing. Yes, Joan Van Ark. Oh my God. Yes. Jake is constantly looking for jobs for his lady in more desirable areas of the country.
Yeah.
Okay. Stepanek, I know the state of Kansas is going to give tax money to pay KU and K-State players. They better.
Come on, dude.
Colin Klein better win.
Dude, good night for KU last night. Speaking of Kansas, nice little night for KU last night.
Okay, real quick, before we get to the non-sports stories of the year. Somebody's got to get to Don't Want to Platerson and tell him to stop talking. You guys think politics wears people out? Am I the only one that's just absolutely tired of hearing about Darren Peterson? Like, how did you screw this up? Can I just ask, how did you screw this up? You're as talented as any bro on the planet. You finally played 30 minutes in a game. And then you said this?
Somebody's had something to say probably after every game this year, so I don't really pay attention to it anymore. I don't know. I've kind of been a antisocial loner my whole life, kind of, so I kind of just deal with it on my own.
I'm an NBA general manager. I got to draft this kid. What characteristics am I looking for? Well, if we could draft an antisocial loner who's been that way his entire life, that would be exactly what I would pick. An antisocial loner who doesn't like playing basketball. And it's at the point now where your coach even hates you.
But the bottom line is there is a way to change the narrative. Play, finish. Now, if his body allows him to, fantastic. If it doesn't allow him to, then they'll say something again the next game. But that's the way to get people to quit talking. It's not me saying it's not fair. I don't think that really keeps anybody from having an opinion on it at a national level or on this level or any level, to be quite candid. But I do think that, it's easy for everybody to say what's happening within a situation that really doesn't know the situation.
Oh, I know the situation, Bill.
Bro.
I'm aware of the situation and the fact that Buddy asked out again last night, or appeared to, and he did it in a more covert way. That wasn't, hey, take me out of the game, Bill. You guys all see the clip going around from the game, right? On Twitter, where he scores that three off the left wing and is backpedaling and gives Bill the old little, bro nod. We all know that nod is men, right? We know the bro nod, like, hey, take me out of the game, dude. It's time. Like, you did it again last night. The only difference is you played 30 minutes. So you're getting away with it. So I'm just so over it, dude. I don't want Kawhi. I don't want Ben Simmons. I don't want Larden. I get it. Those guys are all-stars, but I'm just not really here for it. I want a guy who's bought in, and I want a guy that's going to work his ass off to be the best he can be in our franchise. When did we go awry from that? When did we, I saw a take the other day on the actual difference and the real conversation about LeBron's career and Kobe and Michael's career. And it's got nothing to do with championships or anything like that.
You mean Kobe?
Yeah. The take was the difference between Bron and those two is those two played for one team and they were bought in even when it was going poorly. Even when they weren't winning, even when the struggle was real, they didn't go to a new situation in a new place. And I feel like Darren Peterson is the guy who just wants the easy route. Like he's not.
Why
this
do you
cat,
say that?
Because he's got 14 points last night in 30 minutes. Like kind of pedestrian game for him. Like not a bad game. He didn't have
He looked disinterested.
Yeah,
he looked
just wasn't.
disinterested.
Yeah, he was just deferring. Like he scored when he had to, but it wasn't like he was trying to take over the game. And I don't understand who's giving this kid advice. Like, why would you say that you've been a loner your whole life and that's just how you deal with things?
An antisocial loner.
Like, why? Why would you do that, dude? That just doesn't make any sense to me, man. And I'm not doubting this kid's ability or his skill or his ability to get downhill or anything basketball. The guy can play. But what good is any of that if all we're talking about is the presser and, like Brandon said, the sizzle? Like, if this guy's all about sitting out and making moments impress, why do I want you? I don't. I'm taking AJ. Sorry, man. Sorry.
The whole thing is weird.
Somebody's had something to say probably after every game this year, so I don't really pay attention to it anymore. I don't know. I've kind of been a antisocial loner my whole life, kind of, so I kind of just deal with it on my own.
I've been an antisocial loner my whole life.
Doesn't that inherently make you a sixth man if I'm drafting you?
No, it makes you fucking Kawhi Leonard, who also doesn't play a lot of games, is amazing when he does, and nobody hangs out with him except people planting trees. That's it. Like, and Darren Peterson is not on that level. Like, I'll never understand it. I don't think I don't know what we did to these folks. What did we do to these kids, dude? Like, I'll never understand it. MJ and Kobe had the natural born killer mindset. Bird was another one like that. They're on a totally different level.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know when. I would be really interested if I had, let me Josh Pate this thing. If I had Darren Peterson on my show to do an interview, you know what I'd ask that dude? I would say, when did it get hard for you in basketball? When did basketball become a chore? When did it become a job? Because quite frankly, dude, I love your game because I do love his game. I think he's got a wonderful game. His ability to shoot it, ability to get downhill, ability to finish. When he applies himself, his ability in the pick and roll to manipulate guys is second to none. But when did it become difficult for you, man? Like, you're at Kansas. You're playing at Allen Fieldhouse, for God's sake. Like, it's a big Monday night game where Bill Self is 40-0, now 41-0. And you beat Houston and you're uninterested. How do you, how?
I'll never understand
That's what
it.
I don't get. It's just weird to me. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I'll never understand it. I don't pretend to know. And yeah, yes, that's exactly right. Basketball is just fundamentally broken at the player and franchise level.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Yeah. And it's
it is. Yeah. If you're an antisocial loner, then why the hell are you playing a team sport?
How about golf, dude?
Money. As simple as that. Money. I'll never understand it. I just don't get it. We need to get rid of the one and dones. Just let NBA draft these kids so they can get rest during the tank.
Agreed. Honestly, I agree. Let them
Did
go
you
to the
see
league.
that the Jazz are Nurk's out for the year? He's got to have nose surgery. You know, does this guy get NIL paychecks? Seems like he doesn't deserve it. The problem is he's really good. He's really, really good.
Yeah, I think we get into a gray area when we talk about deserve or not deserve NIL. You're worth what someone's willing to pay, and clearly people are willing to pay. I don't have a problem with the kid's money. The problem I have is his mentality. And
AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson.
AJ DeBanza. It's not even a conversation for me anymore. And as much as I believe AJ, I think AJ will have an impact his rookie year, but I think he's got a lot of development that needs to take place. And the only question that's going to be had with AJ is how long that development's going to take. Because one thing he's shown me is that in the beginning of this year, it took him at least a half if not maybe 30 minutes of a 40-minute game to figure out what the defense was doing to him. Against Iowa State, it took him about 10 minutes to figure out, hey, how is the defense attacking me? And what do I need to do to break the defense? Which is why I had a huge game and why they dominated them.
Yeah.
And if that's any inclination as to how he's going to develop, I feel a little better about that now that I've seen him do this. You know, I needed to see it, but now that I've seen it, I feel like, hey, if he can apply himself that way and he can absorb it and develop, then I'm okay taking him. I am. That was my criticism, is that he's going to be a long developmental project that maybe isn't as serious as he needs to be. But I'm telling you, and I know that this is something you disagree with me a little bit on, but the AJ DeBanca after that game coming out and saying, I'll play 40 if my team needs me to play 40. I'm telling you, that's not an accident. That is not unintentional. He is taking advantage, in my opinion, of Peterson's situation. And he is saying, hey, I'm the guy that's going to play these minutes. Like, I'm the guy you want. And I love that out of him. I think it is an intentional choice to be saying stuff like that.
I mean, it's not my decision. Coach thought, I was ready for it. I mean, obviously, I'm in shape. I mean, I work out a lot. I try to stay in shape. But if I need to play 40 minutes to win, I'll play 40 minutes to win.
Thank you. Love it.
Big Daddy Magic, who's not wearing a Bills sweatshirt. My vote for AJ, just so you know. I had no idea. Jimmy Otson. There is a big difference between having amazing talent and wanting to be on the biggest stage. Well, that's true.
Agreed.
Brandon Butler. Isn't a rookie deal just a development deal at this point? It is. Maybe one guy out of 2 drafts in the NBA. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't know. I think it is. I just think it's a very interesting thing with don't want to Platerson. God, I love Rock and Red just for that.
It's just so goated, dude.
Don't want to Platerson. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate what we're seeing. So it is what it is. Anyway,
dude, James, bro, God.
I'm trying to. Okay, what did James say?
How many times are we gonna have to go over this, dude? Thank you for the $2. I appreciate you being a member, and I appreciate your contributions. Don't I'm not do you think I haven't seen it? Do you think that I haven't driven by there like once or twice a week every week since I've lived here? Like, I know what they're doing, dude. Like, I can see it. I see the crane every day that sits there working on that site, bro. Like, come on. Like, I don't know what you think this is, dude. I literally live 10 minutes from that work site, and I see it multiple times a week, dude.
But here's what I'm asking. Why are you paying us $2 to say that? I mean, I need the money. I'm broke as fuck.
Yeah,
so I need
Florida,
the money.
Dude.
So, I'm trying to move. I'm trying to move to DeSantisville, and my wife is going to dump my ass when I do it. So I'm going to have to pay for a divorce attorney. So I need the money.
Yeah, billable hours.
Right. I watched The Good Fight. I know lawyers are expensive,
and it's very powerful.
Don't want to Platerson learned everything he needs to learn from the Down Landing School of Basketball. That's exactly right. Okay, real quick before we get out of here. Do you guys believe?
I personally believe.
Is Nancy Guthrie alive?
Yes, Americans.
Do you believe? Because this morning, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Savannah Guthrie has offered a $1 million reward to anybody with information that leads to the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie. Jake, do you believe that Nancy Guthrie is still alive?
No. Nope. I don't know how it's possible.
I don't see any way. I don't see any way that Nancy Guthrie is still alive. And I would love this story to end happily, but with cash at the Olympics, it doesn't seem like there's a solution in sight. That was probably too much. I just think that there's no way this ends happily.
Yeah, I just think it is the $1 million reward is, in my opinion, being put out so that they can get closure. I don't think that they expect her to still be alive. I could be wrong. Just my opinion, speculating. I don't think at this stage in the game, with what the story has been, with the developments of the videos and the different things we've seen,
Yeah.
I just, it would be hard for me to be like, yeah, she's just chilling somewhere in someone's basement, dude. Like, that just doesn't add up for me. And I wish it did. I wish that we lived in a world where people didn't have to perish in really undesirable ways. But unfortunately, I just think that's what this is. And I think
No
that
way.
that
Yeah.
that what concerns me, I'll be honest with you guys, the thing that's really concerning to me the last probably, I don't know, 8-10 months or so in our country is that, we have people who die. Like, if you look at Charlie Kirk or this, or like any of the deaths, anybody who's died and just
And
disappeared.
any of the insanity that we've watched happen.
I don't appreciate the fact that we have this cycle of outrage for about 2 days. The FBI under Kash Patel then says we have somebody. The FBI then releases that somebody. Then the story dies, goes cold. We don't put effort in to finish it. Like, we don't know who killed Charlie. We don't know who took her. We don't know where she is. We don't know where they are. Like, we don't have any answers about anything other than the fact that Kash Patel has a gold medal around his neck and is drunk on ultras with Team USA. That's my problem. In reality, that's my problem. I don't even care. Like, the jet thing, everybody abuses the tax budget. He's not the only one. Won't be the first, won't be the last.
Don't care.
That's the point. The point is that you're out here celebrating when people are in the ground somewhere, and you don't seem to care about finishing that and getting close.
And it's his job to end it. That's the hard part. And
No, I don't think she's alive. I think that they're offering
Yeah.
$1 million because they want closure. They want to know, dude, if someone in my family disappeared like this, likely had been killed, disappeared, it's been this long, I just want closure. I just need to know with certainty that they were found, that we have some semblance of an idea of what happened to them. Because no matter how tragic or sad it is, at least having closure is important to people. And I'm terrified that they'll never have closure, that it will just be, hey, I left one day for work, came home, she's gone, never see her again. Like, I like, I just don't know where else this leads. You tell me one day it's just going to come out where she is, that
No.
one day, like, I just don't buy that, dude. I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. Just reading these articles, and I follow it pretty closely during the day. And I agree with you. This stuff with the Charlie Kirk thing's very interesting because I don't believe, and obviously there's a guy in custody and whatnot. I don't know what to believe about that. I don't know what to believe about this Nancy Guthrie story. We never get the truth anymore at the end of this stuff, right? Like, that's the thing I really struggle with, is there's never closure.
Nope.
There's never an end to it. And you see, the thing that bothers me so much about the Kash Patel locker room thing is it's his job to be coordinating this case, and he's not. And somebody like Savannah Guthrie, her career's over. Savannah Guthrie's career is over by no fault of her own, right? And I don't know how we ever get past where we are in this country. That our top law enforcement official, essentially at the FBI, and Kash Patel, is chugging beers in a locker room instead of being singularly focused on solving the biggest mystery in the country.
Vote. That's how.
I guess, but I just hope at some point they get her back. And I hope at some point you figure out who did this and why they did it. Because that's the biggest question. I don't think there's any doubt that there is some connection to some. This is not a, hey, there's an old lady that lives here who has money, let's go kidnap her. They were after Nancy Guthrie, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, do they ever catch the guy? I mean, what do you do if you are famous? It's not, is it worth it? Is it worth it?
No,
I
if
don't
you're
think
famous,
it's worth it.
I think, and it depends on your career and everything. But again, see, I guess I just find myself in this place every single day on the show now. But like, if you're famous at this point and you've made, you know, let's say that you're that mid-level actor that maybe has made 8-10 million in your career. You're not 100 millionaire. You're not like way over the top. You're not Tom Cruise, but you know, you've made enough to where you'd be comfortable the rest of your life, and you've got investments, and like, you basically you don't need to work anymore. Like, are you not just right off into the sunset, dude? Just go get yourself set up, go enjoy the rest of your life with your family, you know, and do that. Like, I understand that there's a passion. Actors have a passion. Celebrities have a passion for being in the spotlight. But I think now more than ever in current times, you got to protect yourself, man. And there's no better way to protect yourself than disappearing and just living your life. That's the best way to do it. And, you know, I think that people are not comfortable with that yet. And it's really unfortunate.
No. I think we don't want the truth. I don't think we want the truth. I think we want TMZ. We want, like, I mean, the people, you have people sending notes to TMZ saying, give me Bitcoin and I'll tell you what happened. Like, is this who we are? What are we doing? It's just weird. It's almost this separate reality of where we live now versus what we ideally believed our country was. Right? Like, I mean, I just look at all of the stuff that Donald Trump has been through. Did you guys see an armed dude got shot on his property at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend? Like, this is still who we are? I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's just this thirst for wealth and fame in this country is, I don't even know how you fix it. I don't think we ever fix it. I think we get back to some sense of normalcy, right? Like, that's why I say, like, when I have the bread, you're just never going to hear from me again. I have no desire to be famous. I have no desire to be some big to-do. That's just, is it worth it? And people will tell you that, oh, Donald Trump, has it been worth it for him to be president? Well, I guess so. He enriched himself. He's a billionaire again. But look at everything he and his family have had to go through of their own making. Like, can you really say it was worth it? The Epstein file stuff, is it worth it? Like, look at how many powerful men. Look at this fucking cartel bro. Did you guys see how they wound up finding the location of this cartel guy that they murdered in Mexico? The federales, essentially the National Army of Mexico, assassinated a cartel king. And that's why they're burning down Guadalajara. Do you know how they found him? The same way they found El Chapo. He wanted to have sex with this influencer. And she was allegedly chirping away to the authorities. One of us, dude likes sex. Who knew?
Who knew?
You're telling me that you can't just... like, that's the...
Bro,
do you guys hear that? That's the world we live in now.
Bro, I'm telling you that we all feel like we're so far away from a life that works. Like, we're not that far away, man.
No.
It's I feel like there's this perception issue where everyone thinks you need $10 million to do what you want to do. You don't need $10 million. You need a yearly income, I would say, of probably $250 to be real comfortable. You know, like, not have to think about it. Comfortable is probably $250. You know, and then from there you need to just keep building. And that's why I say, like, you know, if you're 30s, even 40s. Like, just keep building. Like, just keep, like, make the moves that you need to make and do the things you want to do. Not everyone's going to like it. It's not up to them. Like, you just got to go and do the things that you want to do. Set yourself up and make good decisions. Like, you don't need $10 million, man.
The average age of a first-time home buyer is 39.
That's a problem, bro. That is a problem.
And like with all these tariffs, you guys, we're never dropping the price.
Nope.
We pay it. They're going to keep it where it is until we don't pay it. But we pay it. So, like, how do you fix the housing or the car market? You don't. Anyway, tough day. Tough again to hear about Nancy Guthrie. Tough day. I just wanted to bring that back because they offered $1 million reward.
And I hope that they get closure, dude.
Where's Dog Bounty Hunter? Damn it.
Yeah, I hope they get closure, bro.
In some form or another, right? The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. 24/7, 365. No chatbots, no AI, just real live injury attorneys waiting for you at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow. Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.